What are you talking about? We were just talking about the Saboteur. Oh, man. Hello, everyone. This is State of Exile, episode 50, The League of Plenty, featuring ItsYoji and Yojers. JK, it's Yoji and Cooters. What up?
Hello.
So, welcome to the show, Yoji. It's good to have you back. This is your third time now? Fourth? Third?
Fourth time, actually, yeah.
Fourth time.
Damn.
It's like I'm basically on here all the time.
Somehow weasels his way in all the time.
Yep.
Makes him.
It was that Pizza Blast video, I say. And then we
Pizza
have...
can get you very far.
If you, what are you mostly known for? Your YouTube, Twitch? No, what brings you here? So... How do people find you?
What are you
How do
talking
people
about?
know about you? What do you do, Yoji? Introduction.
Yoji, that's
There we
Cooters,
go.
man. Come on.
I do really silly stuff on YouTube, and I stream regularly now, and that's it.
All right,
And
cool.
it's really just silliness, experimenting, Path of Exile stuff, and trying out weird stuff, weird builds that nobody else wants to try, except maybe Project PT.
Wow. And then, Cooters, a little bit about yourself. Where'd you come over from? How long you been playing Path? Things like that.
Well, I started with a Diablo 3 background, so I started streaming Diablo 3 a while ago. I think about a year and a half ago is where I started that. And I moved over to Hearthstone, got Legend there for a month, quit that because I got bored, and pretty much moved over the Path. I've been here for 3.5 months, so the first day of Talisman was when I started officially. So I've been doing that. I've been learning a lot. There's a lot to take in, honestly.
The old reverse crip, eh?
The learning curve is way crazier than any other ARPG I've ever played. But it's fun. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to learn. It just kind of keeps on going with each league, So
It's kind of crazy how, like, Path of Exile, like, we take it for granted after playing it for X amount of years. You know, the unwritten rules, the exception to the rule that's an exception. It's like you don't learn that just overnight.
It's getting worse, isn't it, over
Yes.
time? That
Absolutely.
it's like it used to be like, you can just follow the tags of the skill, but no, don't follow the tags of the skill anymore.
AoE doesn't work with ball
Not
lightning other
reliable.
than range, but it doesn't give it damage.
Right.
And then tooltip on lightning strikes wrong. That's your melee hit, and you have to use physical check on attack damage. All that garbage. But I'm glad you're sticking around. You seem to be doing quite well over here in Path of Exile. Pretty.
I
good
think a
viewership.
lot of it, honestly, is just mechanical. Like, I mean, in terms of knowledge, that's just through experience and just reading up on things and watching other people play. But I think if you come back from a background with RPG like mechanics, you can do fairly well. Even actually MOBA stuff helps too for movement. So I don't know. I think Pox can be one of those people who can attest to that. So
That's pretty much how Pox brute forces
Yeah.
his way through the game is pure mechanics.
I actually do the exact opposite. I have like really horrible mechanics because I'm a like gamepad and arcade stick player. But I just like read up on all the things, make a character that's foolproof, and it still works.
No,
And I like how you can take both approaches in the game.
Yeah, I would like that for sure. It's awesome.
My Whispering Ice build had 1700 HP when I finished Merciless. I didn't want to do Labyrinth as CI, so I just waited until I just went full life base. So
1700 HP, that
Yes.
definitely certified Pox build. Is that
I
a
did
lemon? She's
Defenses?
painted a
attention.
cat like in leopard cosplay. Wow, baby leopard.
Yeah, there's like a baby leopard hyena thing that just popped up on your screen, Cooters.
I didn't see it. I don't know what you guys are talking
I
about.
mean, I appreciate the wild animals. You got to go green this day and age. You got to go green.
Trying to keep the dank memes out of the podcast, guys. I really tried. I banned them before the show. Don't worry, Zeno will get a stern talking to after this.
I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't help it. All right, so let's do a quick rundown. What's everyone playing right now? Let's start with you, Yoji. What are you playing?
I'm playing two things. One of them is a really janky build. It's Facebreaker Totems. It's about as bad as it sounds, but it's really fun. It's mainly about the punchy animation of the totems. Punchy totems are just fun as hell. But it died yesterday, so I'm gonna do something new with that now. But the serious business character that I have is a Guardian Support. And you probably heard about people saying a Guardian Support is pretty OP and you can like do everything with it. Yep, it's completely true. It's completely broken. I have like, you can get like 8.5 to 9k ES and armor and evasion, and everyone around you gets that too. Unless they scale it, then they have even more. I have 82 all res. I mean, what? Provide everyone with power charges and endurance charges. Yeah, that's all pretty nice and cool. And I permanent Val Haste also. It's also pretty cool. And
But can you
all
do
that
it
stuff.
solo?
Yeah, I can solo a normal up to like Act 3, then it gets pretty difficult. Maybe if I run Damage Auras, Act 4 also works.
So not
Yeah.
really worth soloing though, because
No,
I
but for
love
party
the
play-
idea of Guardian, but I just don't play in parties ever.
Guardian is
But for party-
godly. Godly.
Party play,
card.
it's God mode for the whole party. Really, it's really it's that crazy that I have my first world problem with the build is that I can't really level my gems to 20 as fast as others, because whenever I'm online, everyone wants to do red high tier maps because they're like, oh, the support's online, I can get crazy defenses, I can roll
do
all
the-
those like
let's do the
damage
rippy
mod
maps.
red maps. So let's do the rippy maps, and I reach like level 91 really fast, but my gems are still like super low level because I don't out level. They don't out level me as much.
Right,
I normally would
right.
get stuck at like tier 5, then tier 2, tier 7s. I
That's
just like,
funny.
okay, I'm level 75, let's do some tier 12 maps, and it worked perfectly fine.
That's crazy.
It's completely crazy.
So, like, the amount of steroids a Guardian brings, you don't think any other Ascendancy class can even match it? Even the Scion, you know? Nothing.
Nope.
Guardian is
I
godly.
grant 3 endurance charges. If you have more, you get more. 9% physical mitigation just from running 9 auras. Like 3-point-something% regen. It's completely, like, it's crazy.
Wow.
And I
enough to do.
curse too. I curse too.
Good enough to do as like a
Walkers,
2-man
strikers?
team.
Yeah, try curse. What did you
Is
say,
it-
Ziggy?
Is it good enough to do as a 2-man team? Most support tends to, hit its stride around 3 to 4 people. That's when it starts to, you get the amplifying happening.
I'm mostly running with 2 to 3 people right now in guild. Like we had one guy die, I think, and now we're like 2 to 3 people plus me, depending on how it goes. That
Wow,
works
you didn't-
perfectly fine for tier 13.
You didn't make them immortal, Yoji? Wow.
I wasn't there. They died without me being
Oh.
there.
Oh,
You know
That's
how
our
many
own fault
logouts? You know how many close calls and logouts I had while I was there in maps? 0. With anyone in the party. Like all the people, even random Dried
Damn.
Lake parties,
Clean
all
record.
random map parties. It's just God mode for everyone.
You gotta have your support character resume up there, like no logouts, no rips.
It kind of sounds like that,
Clean
but
runs.
whenever you step next to someone, they're like, wait, where did I get all the armor from? Why do I have like 40k armor? I'm not a Zeno build. What's this? But they still have 40k armor. What we should try, you should take your Juggernaut and stand next to my support
Oh my
with like
God,
buff
let's do that. I'm
up
down.
determination and like that extra that armor.
I'm down. Oh,
You
I'm
probably
sorry, I've
have
been meaning to
100K.
ask about the Guardian. No one has really. I haven't seen much stats on the conduit node. All party members have conduit. How crazy is it? Does everyone just share charges? Have you tested it yet?
I tested it. I respec out of it later because I can provide power and endurance, which is the most important part for most people. And I can run Poacher's Mark if I really need frenzy. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. You basically don't have to worry about charges as much. Like even if anyone has just like this, like random from their ascendancy, like 10%, like a raider gets like 10% on kill.
Yeah,
Even if you don't clear as fast, you still, if you have that, everyone has their charges basically.
that's crazy. That
Like
is
one
such
guy,
a node.
every now and then, everyone uses like some enduring cry, whatever, and everyone has charges. It's pretty cool. But I'm running the war cry gives extra haste, which is just a better steroid because it's like more movement speed. I'm running haste, that and Val haste permanently, basically.
Right.
With that
Wow.
corrupted jewel, that's 20% Val skill duration. I've stacked some of those as well. And yeah,
The reason I'm asking is we need to think of a challenge for this league, and we did the double rainbow challenge a while back, Ziggy. And if we play 6 Guardians and we all have conduit and we all share charges,
you only need one to have that. Everyone else shares.
well, maybe 2 just in case one's not around. The amount of charges and
6 Guardians?
The range on that is pretty crazy. The range on that
okay.
is pretty high.
I think that would be pretty silly, just watching everyone just
Yeah.
discharge like crazy.
6
It would be
Guardians.
crazy.
And we can
That's
already
a
get
fun
the
challenge.
memes, the Kappa Pride challenge. Everyone's discharging.
That's pretty cool.
And how about you, Cooters?
Gee.
What build are you playing right now?
Currently, I'm playing. It's going to be a Glacial Cascade miner, but I just ripped my Arc miner build. I was using Scion, and I remember passing my build through you on your stream. You shat all over it. I don't know if you remember that, but what I said was, you know what?
Glacial Cascade. It's
What I said
good.
was, I'm gonna take this build. I'm gonna make it work, and then it didn't. So I'm making a Shadow Saboteur.
Fox, what is
And I
that?
think the thing is, a lot of people were really, really surprised that when I was running Arc, that single target damage, you're thinking Arc is pretty shit for single target. It's really good for clear, really bad for single target. But I mean, when I paired that up with, I just had a detonate Mind Totem, spell totem with faster casting. And I just ended up dropping down. Each time you drop down mines, you get basically 3 arcs per mine, right? Rather, because you set them down in 3s. And with all the links and stuff, I mean, and with the Tremor Rod, like, mind drop speed is crazy, right? And you would just rip through. I was ripping through every boss so fast. The only issue I had was that it used so much mana. It's like 100 mana per mind drop. So I had to even link up a reduced mana on there. Oh man, it still was like still too, so I had to.
What you should consider is
I had to use 2 mana.
instead of using what's it called, Tremor Rod, because Tremor Rod's going to make it cast so quick. You could use Bitter Dream. It comes with reduced mana and mana leech, and then you can use Minefield.
Running blood magic and just having a lot of.
Mine Zeno.
Oh yeah,
I got you.
Really
I got
dumb.
you.
I'm
All right.
really dumb.
Oh, there you go, man. I was thinking about running
Well
blood
said,
magic
well
with
said.
a bro golem. You know the what's the new one? Stone golem, ADHD golem. He gets lost, but he always comes back, man. He's cool.
What you need to run is there's a special flask. It's a mana flask called Lavinia's something.
Oh, yeah.
I ran it on one of
Lavinia's
my old
Spirit.
trappers. Yeah, when it's active, you're. Let me see exactly what it is. Okay, here it is. It's a Lavinia's Spirit Sanctified Mana Flask. During its use, while you're healing mana, your skills cost no mana.
Yeah, for single
With
target, that
that
could
player,
actually
you
help, yeah. I don't think it's really all that great.
Hmm.
VAR clarity
There's
is, I think,
times when you're
it's
trying to
good
like spam against a boss or something.
It was
before
great
regular
back
key,
in the
hopefully
day.
fine.
With Cloak of Defiance, and with Cloak of Defiance taking 40%, you would basically, anytime you get hit, you'd pop that, and no matter what's happening, your mana will never go down unless you take damage. That's the one that really good synergy came out.
Yeah, I mean,
I totally forgot about that.
yeah, the
But if
biggest
you
thing
have
is
that
just. Sorry, I was saying the biggest thing is really if you have a mana issue and you're like reserving 2 pots for mana pots, that's an issue I've ran into. I mean, I've never had a character where I had to even. I usually don't even have a mana pot because I have enough mana leech or something, right? But that's the one caveat that I've run into. But there's definitely a way to fix it, right? I just haven't really done that yet. So.
I mean, Pox runs a mana pot in his trapper. It's like one of the few classes I'll see someone running around with a mana pot, and it's not even bad because it's 5 out of 25 charges.
Yeah, it depends on which one you. There's 4 out of 20, I think, is the hollowed, and then the next one I think is 5 of 25.
I mean, when you're
I'm
running
being
around,
serious.
when you're running around clearing the packs, it's not a problem because it just refills back the max every single pack you run into because you just rip them so quickly. But when you're fighting single target, that's when I have like issues because you're not going to be refilling your flasks at all until they start unleashing minions.
Yeah, I think VAR clarity might actually be a really good call there. The duration goes really, really high.
That's true. Someone suggested that. I tried running just normal clarity, and the mana res was just the reservation was just too much. It just didn't help out.
Pretty much on a. I'm sorry, go on, Yoji.
Did you try the new Zerfi's flask? Because that is really insane if you have high mana cost just for the life
It
life gain.
doesn't recover much mana though. Like if she actually needs it for the mana, it might
Not
be a
for the
little
mana,
rough.
for the life. It's basically tons of
you could
life
do that.
getting. If you spend 100 life, it's 800 life per use. That's pretty crazy.
So
Yeah, the only
Cooters-
problem is.
Oh, sorry, Pox, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only problem with that flask is it's so great, at least for me, for leveling, but it's so annoying to try to balance your mana around that flask because if you're using the mana flask, you need mana, but that thing heals no mana, so it's trying to get that perfect balance.
It's a nice leveling flask. I think it's pretty cool that we actually have leveling flask now in game that we can use.
So
That's
Cooters,
pretty
for your build, the Saboteur offers you to when you do ascend and you get the Mind Node from Cruel. It allows your mines to have a 30% chance to trigger twice, and that's where the deeps comes in, especially.
No,
with
I
Tremor.
understand that. I totally understand it. I wanted to, I was gonna with my Scion. I thought I was gonna make it far enough, but I wanted to do a weird kind of duo with Chieftain and Inquisitor for elemental and physical on Glacial Cascade, but I didn't get that far. So I wanted to basically get because Chieftain has 15% extra physical damage as fire, right? And then I was gonna use a fire to cold or whatever, and just try to bump that up with Glacial Cascade in top on Inquisitor. With Inquisitor with the extra 20% elemental damage and extra crit for status ailment stuff or whatever.
I forgot all about that. Honestly, Saboteur is going to be Saboteur is going to be it's literally 1.3 times more damage.
I'm not disagreeing with
So
you.
good.
I'm saying when I picked Scion, that I had to try to find a way to kind of make it work, right? And that was my idea. But I mean, with Saboteur, obviously, it's way better. The full Saboteur. Saboteur. The full Saboteur Ascendancy class is definitely better. I just don't like that side of the tree. I honestly don't like that side of the tree.
I'm just saying, before the show, I got crucified for saying Hearthstone. We got Saboteur,
Sabotage.
I'm going back to Hearthstone. It's not Hearthstone. I'm sorry.
Pretty sure. Was crack.
Just don't bring out the Majonas, please.
So, because it rips through so much mana, would you say that we can name your build Vape Nation because it's a good rip? All right, sorry. Ziggy, what build have you been playing right now?
Well, my Sparker died to a triple damage volatile devourer, so that was beautiful. I died to my overconfidence basically in that build, so I was ripping through with that. So I ended up rolling a cold snapper, but I just didn't feel it. Like I was feeling okay. I guess I just wasn't in the right mindset for it. Not patient enough. So now I'm rocking some Siege Ballista using the new Iron Commander bow, which gives you for every for every 200 dexterity you get another Siege Ballista totem, and for every 25 you get like 1 to 3 fizz or something like that. So I've seen 2 people, I think Wobachar and Rich J Money, doing Ellie commanders, and it seemed really good. I thought I'd give it, but I was like, I haven't seen anyone like publicize giving it a go with its kind of more like obvious intended, physical scaling style build. So I'm like, all right, let's give it a go. Let's give it dexterity stacking a go, just with the idea to see how it goes. And for leveling, holy shit, really good for leveling. I was surprised. I really did not expect much out of it, but the moment you put the bow on, it's pretty easy to have 200 dexterity around that point. And just rocking with 2 of those Siege Ballistas, once I had a Rain of Splinters set up to go with it straight off the bat, so I chucked that on. So they got multi-proj. And then just because you can use your basic attack, your main attack as well, just wrecking through stuff, like really surprised how good it was. Decided to go because I didn't really want to go like Fizz Ellie. I was a bit worried that the base Fizz you'd get from it wouldn't be that high, because I calculated even with like 800 dexterity that I'm aiming for, the physical damage the bow gets isn't that good. Mm-hmm. So I'm a bit worried about that. So I'm kind of going... I'm mostly going like projectile scaling, right? And then using added chaos, the fizz that you just happen to get from getting multiple totems. And then I'm going to go like poison. So I'm rocking the poison action. It seems to be really good. It crushes bosses. So fun killing bosses on this build. Just chucking down your line of totems with the bow crit knockback, and the bosses are trying to get past the line of totems. Can't do it. And it just wrecks them. And regular clear's okay. So interested to see how it goes.
So I got a question about the build. The gimmick behind Pillar or Iron Will build is you get all this strength, so you get all this life. And then Whispering Ice, you get all this int, so you can go CI. Like, Iron Commander's like, well, I get all this dex, so I go crit, I guess?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? I was like, we know that dexterity is the crappy stat of the 3, right? Mm-hmm. So I was hoping when I'm making this build, I'm hoping that I would make this and I'd have the 600 plus dexterity, and I'd be like, you know what, guys, dexterity is actually pretty good. And it's not as good as strength, no. But it's actually pretty good. So obviously, if you're going to be stacking that much dexterity, you go evasion, and obviously you go crit. And just like straight off the bat, I have not dropped below 60% evasion the entire way through, pretty much. So, and then my accuracy has been sitting about 95, 94 the entire time.
Yeah,
so it is actually, like, the effects of dexterity are pretty strong, but only specifically in evasion crit builds. So that part has been kind of nice.
You can probably save a lot of accuracy, like especially when you go to like really high maps where accuracy makes more of a difference. I think that's when you would notice it more and more. I think that's what Wabachar also
haven't needed like any accuracy at all.
Yeah.
Like and I think evasion gives you like flat accuracy as well, not percent. It gives you percent evasion and flat accuracy. Uh-huh. So I could get like 1 accuracy scaling cluster, like the crit accuracy one from Shadow or something. Yeah, the good one.
They're good.
And that would give me like a bajillion more accuracy. So they're extremely accurate totems, which is nice because they're not exceptionally fast firing. But like dexterity, it has some kind of nice benefits. They just don't apply to most builds that use it. That's the problem, I feel. Or you just don't notice it in smaller amounts. Once you start to get 600 plus, then
I'm assuming you're planning on going coil late game, or you're going to go the old school assassin's garb. Or maybe even older Zodiac leather, man.
Haven't decided yet. I do have a coil that I got off Brodero that I 6-socketed. I'm considering going and linking that. Yeah, so considering giving that a go, obviously like the fizz spells and that are a concern. So
I got a question for you.
Thinking about it. Go for it.
for the Iron Commander, two things. One is, do you have to put the siege ballista into the bow, or do you have to kind of put it into your chest piece?
You can put
Or
it
two?
anywhere. So I'm just at
Okay.
the moment I'm using like a a super budget 5-link chest, just a one seat chest.
Okay, that's
So-
pretty nice. And the other thing is, what Ascendancy class do you use? I don't think you mentioned it. Probably
Yeah,
Deadeye,
like
would guess.
I looked at a bunch of different excuse me, I looked at a bunch of different ascendancies, and there's nothing that's like super good for it. I didn't want to go elemental scaling, like I'm not using haste, hatred or Herald of Ash or any of that, so I didn't really want to go chieftain. Chieftain would be an option, I think, if the fizz damage was higher, but because it's not, I don't think it's really that good. Scion looks decent. You can go like Scion, Deadeye, and something, and I ended up going with just Deadeye Ranger for the extra projectile, which is really good. And
The bonus damage with the
for
pierce, the far shot.
you get it's like 100% crit with PS, which is like the third point is really not very good. You get 100% crit, or you get like 40% projectile damage and 15% attack speed. So I'm probably just going to go for that for my final point. But the first 2 points are basically getting the fast shot and the extra projectile, which they're decent. They're decent. The fast shot, often when you're playing totem builds, you'll find yourself putting totems pretty close to enemies. But because they're guaranteed PS, they do tend to off-screen mobs a lot. And with bosses, you can position them far away, and they just wreck bosses because they have 40% more damage from fast shot. It's exactly the inverse of point blank. It starts at the end of the point blank damage bonus range, which is about a third of the screen, so it's not too hard to get for bosses.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So it
is really fun,
Also, the boss is probably when the moments where you actually put down all your totems and they all like start firing. It probably looks so cool. I didn't really watch much
it's
gameplay,
really
but it's
satisfying.
just like I got these like the list of pop, and then
Yeah,
they
watching
all
the
start
boss
firing.
get knocked around and poisons, the health just goes. The poison stacks up.
All right, because King
Just
of the Hill as well,
rip-
right? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm actually pretty happy with the play, like the feeling of it too. It's more fun than I expected because it feels really active because you have so many totems to place. I put a bit of totem placement speed in there, and you go bam bam 2 totems, bam bam 2 totems, per pack, and moving around a lot, using your frenzy in between. I'm using frenzy to curse enemies and generate charges, and it's pretty fun active style.
Are you planning on going more than 2 totems at all, like other than single target?
I've got 4 totems and I'll be getting 5.
Oh, yeah.
I've been pretty
So the
surprised
fifth
with
one's
like.
gonna be the best, but
Sorry, I was gonna say I've been pretty surprised with the totem mine trap play. It's quite different from anything else in the game in terms of self casting or just like shooting and melee and stuff. But it's actually a lot of fun. I don't know why. I think it might be from the mechanic standpoint where you're always interacting, unless you're running like Bladefall Totem. I guess you just kind of sit there and everything just dies. But other than that, though, I mean, I don't know why, but I really enjoyed, like, that's why I've been playing the mine build, another run at it, because I actually had a lot more fun than I think any of my builds I've had this league and last
you
league.
just enjoyed and mine in the same sentence.
Yeah.
Extremely fun. I don't know why. I mean,
say.
Fox is a huge trap player, so he can. I don't know if it's somewhat similar. So I don't know. I don't know if.
I mean, I don't know. You're putting traps and mines in the same sentence now. The only thing that should go there is the trap and mine damage support gem. That's about it.
I think. Well, I mean, I think in terms of. I mean, yeah. I guess there is a big difference.
I
in
will-
terms of
I will
how the
say-
trick- but-
I will say that mines got buffed massively with the introduction of the Saboteur or Saboteur subclass.
Saboteur.
Sorry.
Saboteur. I feel really cap of pride for saying that. But anyway, the reason why is like they got essentially a 45% increase to AoE if you're using that class. And more importantly, they introduced Minefield, which allows you to lay 3 mines at once.
Exactly.
And certain people informed me, I was incorrect about this and I figured it out, that certain skills will react differently. So like Arc is an auto aim. It shoots out, so you don't actually have to be melee. Bladefall is the same thing. Bladefall will actually, even if you detonate the mine here, will shoot over there. So things like that, it does work out similar to traps. Everything else, unless you're off-screening, they're still kind of in a clunky spot, in my opinion.
I think in terms of the another big weakness of mines that I ran into is actually if you put detonate mines on a totem, there's a really wonky kind of thing with line of sight because the totem actually has to have a target to detonate the mines, even though you might have guys in range, and that's always been it's kind of annoying because I've noticed that I end up detonating mines manually sometimes because it's just not working out. But when you actually get on a boss and it's an open area, it's pretty strong.
You're right. The same thing happens if you try to smoke mine. You put a smoke mine down from a lockbox and you go around something. it won't port you back. You'll just get stuck.
The line of sight. So, Box, what have you been up to in Path of Exile?
I've actually played 7 builds, almost to level 70 this league, but the most recent 2 that I've been playing have been one my Blade Vortexer, which is a Scion Blade Vortex I just hit level 90 with, and it's pretty interesting the way I set it up. With it uses Mind Over Matter and uses Pledge of Hands, but it has 2 5-link Blade Vortexes. One is going to be a cast when damage taken with Power Charge on crit and Curse on hit, and the other one is the main Blade Vortex. But since you're pretty much shattering and freeze killing all whites, you don't actually have your cast when damage taken proc often. So I use a Dodra's Elixir, which actually forces me to take damage, gives me 1 of every charge, procs my Power Charge on crit, or my Blade Vortex, which then starts re-enfeebling everything again. And the great interaction with that is since I am Raider, gives me 10% chance to gain Frenzy charges, and then I get Assassin's Mark, so I have a chance of gaining Power charges. Right before the boss, you hit Vol Haste and you start building up your stacks. Right before my Frenzy and Power charges run out, and I have like 45 stacks, you hit your Dodrays, they refresh all over again, and you go to the boss with 50 Blade Vortex stacks, 5 Frenzy charges, which also gives you permanent Onslaught, and 5 Power charges, and it just destroyed.
How do the stacks work between the 2 different Blade Vortexes? Are they separate, or do they add together
they'll add
reach your
together.
cap?
They'll add together, but
you don't want too many of your cast and damage taken ones, right? Because they're eating into your
damage. It won't ever happen. Yeah, it usually doesn't happen though on bosses, because usually a boss will just do 1 big hit, or the things that are just overtime will usually die pretty quickly.
Okay, and you're using Clear Mind with no auras or something?
Yeah, Clear Mind. No, I have Hatred and Essence Worm, and I still have 7.5k effective life with a coil on.
It's insane. It's such a smart idea. Your build was freaking
I really
cool.
like the look of it. I was just thinking about that, like, Essence Worm action, and how I wanted to use it in something. I'm like, I could go back to the Explosive Arrow and use it on that. It's a pretty obvious choice, getting Grace for IR, but I like what you've done with it.
It's
Mind
so
Over Matter
strong.
action.
I think it's one of the strongest characters I've played.
What do you have, like 2,000 unreserved mana? So you get Hatred for free, and then you have Clear Mind, which gives you mana regen. Finally, a use for the mana regen on it, and 60% spell damage. It's just
And you basically got a Blasphemy Aura with your
it is. It is
Blade
a
Vortex.
Yep, and I'm a 5-link. Also,
Like a small Blasphemy.
I was gonna say I don't take any damage from Reflect either, because I get 1.5% leech from a Marauder, which is global. So if you use like an Adziri's Promise, from the Berserker, if you use like an Adziri's Promise, you do an insane amount of physical and elemental. That's all being converted back to you from Chaos as life. That's non-reflectable. And then I get Force Shaper, which also gives another 5% as Chaos. And then Vol Grace as well. So it's pretty cool. But the best part is, like, since you're Volpact plus Mind Over Matter has such an awesome interaction, because you instant heal life, but you don't instant heal mana. So you can see if your Volpact is carrying you, because your mana will go down really fast and your health won't move, and you know to back out. Because you're like, back out.
That's really
As your mana's
smart.
ticking down.
Like, for most Volpack builds, if you're a Scion, it seems that like Raider Berserker is a combo, because it's like, well, I'm going Volpack, so I want the leech from everything, and I don't have to use Warlords now, but I can't use Blood Rage, so I'll go Raider. Now I'm getting Frenzy Charges and Onslaught. It's just like a perfect synergy.
Oh, and then the last part, I forgot about this one. This is the part that tops it all off. That makes it my little finishing touch. Since I'm using a Pledge of Hands and I can run 5 Frenzy Charges, and when I have 5 Frenzy Charges, I have permanent Onslaught. That's actually a decent attack rate, so I use Leap Slam with Fortify.
Sweet. Nice, I like it.
So you just leap right into the pack with Blade Vortexes. So, and then you pop all haste and you just do.
This doesn't sound much like a Pox build, though. This build has, like, legit defenses going on.
I've gotten my DPS with a 5-link pledge, and level 19 gems. I was at 50,000 or 50k per vortex.
The other day, Pox and I we were just sitting around playing Lufia 2, and he goes, Zeno, this is the first time ever in my Path of Exile career I'm playing a sustained build. Now I know what you're talking about. And I'm like, what? I only use Instant Flash, bro. I'm just like, what? You never played a regen build? No. Like, he's never played Sustained.
That's crazy.
Sustained's like everything to me. I love Sustained builds.
It's funny how long you can play Path of Exile without trying like a whole area of builds, basically.
Yeah,
like a whole
for sure.
mechanic. I've never used that. What? You play Path of Exile since it exists. Yeah, stuff like that. There's still so much I've never played in this game.
I think
played
it's-
so much.
Yeah, same.
I think it's a huge kind of comfort zone issue. Like if you're kind of used to a build and you kind of just kind of stray away a little bit and you're like, this works, so I'm just going to keep on doing it. It kind of takes a little bit more to kind of push yourself to try something totally different because you're going to end up, failing a lot, like trying new builds, I think, unless you follow a guide. And I know probably most of you guys just try to theory craft and just do your own thing. And once you're kind of put out of that comfort zone, though, that's where you kind of exploit all those issues. Or
Yeah, if I have a shitty build, I feel like going back to Ranger sometimes. Crawling back to Ranger.
Whenever I played Melee in the past, I was like, okay, I need to buy a new weapon again, and what is this stuff while leveling? Mobs actually hit me, and then I just want to cast spells. Give me a +1 wand, any wand, and everything will be good again. That's what I played.
Facebreaker. I'm like, I always go back to Facebreaker. I don't have to buy a weapon. It's meme-tacular. It's just the same thing, different. I love it. I love Facebreaker.
I'm traps and casters, mainly traps and then casters. I've opened in my realm to attack based builds now, and I was playing a Wanda recently, and I'm like, man, my damage is so good, and I'm walking around, and I'm like, I wonder what the elemental damage is on my weapon. It's got to be insane. And I did the math, and it was like 53, and I'm like, what? I was like, what? Because I'm not used to have to when you find a spell damage weapon, you're like, oh my god, that gives 82% spell damage. Like there's nothing to calculate there. It's just you can see it. So it was new to me.
I'm getting carried by the auras.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Speaking of, I really liked in your build how it's kind of pointing out that there's getting more and more benefits to not running or to running less auras in some cases. And like you're getting that benefit. You're still technically running an aura thanks to Essence Worm, but you're having no mana reserved and getting the extra benefits from that. How worth it do you feel overall? Like, do you kind of wish you were running more auras or?
Absolutely not. I mean, I have Stib Knight basically covers me for everything because I just go in and everything's permanently blinded. So that's basically like running Grace, essentially. I don't need endurance charges, but if I want to, you have Enduring Cry, you could press it, so that would cover Warlords. I don't need the Mana Leech or the Life Leech because my boots are rolled with when you kill a target, you get Mana and Life Leech, and I have the Life Leech already. Poacher's Mark I already have covered because I have insane mana regen, and I can already gain my own Frenzy charges. Assassin's Mark I already curse with, which gives me the damage plus the power charges from that side. So I literally can cover everything with this build, and I think it does work really well. If you can get a really cool interaction with Essence Worm, then your build is golden.
I mean, for the longest time, we've had this huge reliance or every build stacking as many auras as possible. So to see it's like at least some builds going in the other direction now, which is the best thing. Like if some builds don't use auras, some builds use very few, and other builds try and stack a lot of them. That's the best situation, which seems to be where we are. So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of happy with it.
Yeah, I'm a lot more happy now as well. Before it was like try to get all the good auras, and like then they removed Reduced Mana and was like, okay, I can get less now. They removed Eldritch Battery. I was like, okay, I can get even less now, but I still can kind of cherry pick my top 2 auras. And now you can kind of have to decide, okay, I can run this ring, sacrifice a ring slot, and maybe that means like less damage usually, less crit, harder to cap res. But you get an aura for it, and you can also run curses now on auras, which is also another option we have. And I think it's getting in the right direction of just giving us so many options that it's getting harder to decide. But it's all like interesting and good options. So
I guess Essence Worm is really helping with this then.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It is really.
How much did they go
really
for?
nice.
Like just like 10, 15
20.
guests? That's
25.
cheap.
25.
Well, then again, this is a
shells.
very, very cheap league. So when they were in a non-cheapo league, we'll see how much it goes for.
Do you know though if there'll be a legacy unique, or do you think there'll be a legacy unique, or will it stick around as a coin?
Veranastra said that it's going to be Perandus only. So
Veranastra, man,
the sword.
That's awesome.
That's a bit sad, actually. I think
it drives me crazy.
It's really good, but it's just so sad because it opens up so many cool builds that you can't do otherwise.
I think it also kind of overrides a lot of weapons. People have been saying that they feel like it's taken some focus away from other interesting weapons.
I mean, to be fair, one-handed mace
that might be true.
The focus has been taken away from it forever. So
fair enough.
Do you guys feel like, I mean, certain legacy uniques like that actually entice people to try out the new leagues? Because I know there's a lot of people who say, I just play standard. Like, I don't care about the new league stuff. I just do standard. But if there's kind of like, I mean, they do, like Perandus, I mean, the coin stuff, that's kind of new. But keeping an item in there, if you want to play it, I don't know.
maybe some, but you don't really know about the legacy uniques beforehand. Like, you don't really know if they're going to be good. You don't. It's not really super clear which things are going to be legacy a lot of the time. So I don't think that works as a selling.
Do they
point
do they normally not like announce like?
It
These are not
depends.
necessary?
Like Ambush League
Sometimes.
and Invasion, before all leagues were separate. So when you came to Talisman, they were both the same, except for freaking Facebreaker Crit Amu. We'll go on that in a little bit. But Drillneck was Ambush, and what was the other one? Rearguard was Invasion, and there were such popular uniques. They said, "Screw it, we'll put it in the core of the game." And then we have the Facebreaker Crit Neck, which all praise be to Waxen, normal everyday viewer in my channel. He's making a divination card for it. Yes. So
Based.
it's like we such build enabling uniques. The community's like, why GGG? Why are they not in the core of the game? Where you're just like, this shouldn't be league specific, and that's how I feel Veranastra is. But I see the counter argument where if the only answer is Veranastra, then it's Lightning Coil 2.0. We don't want that again. And not that it would ever be to that extent, but something similar to that.
Someone will make a divi card for Varanastra, I reckon.
Oh yeah.
Probably, yeah.
People will.
But it'll be hard to get just because it's an old league unique. They always are kind of rare. Kind of like the Volt's Devotion or whatever. Maybe not that rare, but
Heck yeah. But it is nice because then it's like divination cards, when you find that divination card where it says Headhunter, you're like, whoa. You know what I mean? So at the same time, it does provide that cool effect that you still get excited about, rather than that unique that's been around forever, like Ramir's Banquet, that used to sell for 2x, now sells for 2c.
I actually find it cool that there are some uniques in the game that are really hard to get, because then you have something to work for. Even if you have like this level 95 character that has like all the easy to get top tier uniques, let's say it has a coil, it's like the really good rare weapon, whatever, and you're still like, okay, but I could get that Headhunter if I really wanted to. I could try chance that and put all my currency that I make towards that, to have like another goal at the top end. I think that's very important. It's a very important thing to have overall. And I think maybe Varanastra is not going to be that, but I like that there's something like that in the game.
I've never really taken the time to question why we have these legacy uniques. Like, why are we getting these league specific uniques? Like, I understand when it's like the goal or something, and it's like, when you click shrines or something happens, or rampage ones and that. But I don't really get just a lot of these like general ones that just work anytime in the game. Why are they only specifically for that league, and then why are they being super difficult or impossible to obtain after that?
It probably was at some point to get people to play the new leagues, kind of like make it interesting. I could just like keep playing hardcore. I mean, back in the day, it was like a lot more people actually played permanent leagues, even when they introduced the league. Maybe I can see them and maybe be like, why would people quit playing permanent hardcore where they have all their items? So we kind of need another incentive, maybe. Maybe that was the original idea, and then they just rolled with it because it was already like that. I don't know. I would like to know that. Ask the devs when you have them on.
do you guys think they should be? Like, do you guys think they should be only for a specific set time and then leave? Like, I guess I can see like a danger of there being too many uniques in the game, maybe. But
Alright, Pox,
I
I
like
about
it.
this.
More uniques, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of like the cycle of things kind of drifting, because it prevents you from always being able to do the same thing, and you already have a meta in the game, and the meta does shift. But the meta will shift, and then these new items, you'll figure out, what is in the league this time around, and things will kind of modify towards it. So I kind of like it the way it is right now.
See, my biggest problem is Headhunter. Like, look at the racers this league. The first person to get a Headhunter is like, what I mean? So it's like things like Headhunter just...
Oh, I can totally
completely
understand with
screw that.
uniques being taken out of circulation because of, balance reasons or something like that, right? When there's like a pretty legit and obvious reason for it, like obviously Headhunter is ridiculous, so
It's the most overpowered
taking that
thing
out
in
of
the
regular
game.
circulation.
I think that is
I
the
mean, I
strongest
can understand
unique
that,
in the game.
but I don't really see like the talisman for the, for face breakers being like that, or...
What's most infuriating about that is, if you're playing a Juggernaut, 1,000 accuracy, okay, you're playing a Juggernaut, or now you can wear a business. Oh, increased critical strike chance. Now I can have a 9% crit face breaker opposed to 7. It's like all these awesome things that come out in Ascendancy that are perfect for it, and where is it? Nowhere to be seen. You know what I mean? So it's like we have every bit of a chance to finally test it for real. I played hardcore last league, and I didn't even want to play softcore for that reason. It should be in the core game. Why isn't it in the core of the game? There's no reason.
See, I'm down with the idea of GGG meta balancing a bit when it's needed, but I feel like these days, like the meta does a pretty good job of working itself out. Like there's such a good variety of things for people to try that leaving uniques in, people next league a new unique comes out that slots into an old, unique that works perfectly to create a new build. That's like you get new and interesting metas out of leaving the old uniques in there. So I wonder if in this case it's not so much that we need to be forced away from old things, except maybe like Lightning Coil.
Yeah, Lightning Coil is the one item I think everyone's just ready to see it die. I mean, 5-link shavs are selling for like 3.5x this league. I mean, remember when that was like just a plain white socket shafts was 50 exalts? It's like Lightning Coil was what, 10 exalts, and now it's 1. It's like just kill it, nerf to 20%, do something to change that damn item.
You can't do that, man. Fix the right
I really
side of the
like
tree.
Lightning Coil, and I think it's a pretty unique and interesting way of dealing with an issue in the game. I guess, am more interested in that on a particular side topic, I guess, of Lightning Coil. I'm more interested in there being more solutions to the problem of, like, how the fuck do you not die to physical spells as an evasion character? Like, there's a few more solutions now than when we used to talk about this topic, for sure.
My biggest issue, to drift, like, just to add into this, is whenever I look at a Lightning Coil, I always look at it and it's like, all right, this is essentially best in slot for almost every evasion build. You know, you could use other things and it will work just fine, but if you want to start running red maps, double damage modded red maps, this is what you want to use. And I always look at Carcass and I'm just like, but it's so much more fun. I'm like, 20% AoE, like, that's so much. And it sucks, man. It sucks. It's so unfortunate.
I was talking with Etup about that yesterday. He has a perfectly rolled Assassin's Garb. Like, life, res, dex, perfect evasion. And he's like, I got to a red map and I just got dumpstered on. He's like, the fact that I have to take this beautiful item and wear a Lightning Coil, either buff of evasion, change the way the monster damage works, or nerf Lightning Coil. Something needs to be done.
Can't nerf Lightning Coil. You nerf Lightning Coil, like 80% of the builds that are Shadow are just like, well, boys, it's time for red maps.
Honestly,
Hello,
this goes perfectly into our next topic, the defensive and melee elemental reflect. Like, defenses in this game right now, ever since that global monster damage buff in 2.0, evasion has just been like, red map viable? You mean Lightning Coil? I mean, something needs to change. Something needs to change. And for a while, like a year ago, this is what we're like, evasion meta is great, but the layered defenses, it's too much. Armor needs to be buffed. And here we are seeing the exact opposite a year later. Like, what's up with evasion now?
I don't think it needs to be buffed or anything. I just think it'd be cool to see a meta shift. Like, I think that, again, we've had Coil, we've had this whole evasion melee meta and everything. But I think it would just be cool to see them do something like they normally do, meta shifting for the next league. I think starting then would be pretty cool.
I mean, do you think...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, do you think normally the right kind of solution in this kind of, with this issue is to revamp something like how evasion works? Or do you think adding new stuff to the game is actually like the better way to go? If we talk about meta shifts.
I would say, honestly, potentially adding something to the game. Because, I mean, reworking a whole mechanic around an item, like it's possible. It's just, I don't know if that's
I like the evasion mechanic in PvE.
Yeah.
Last time we reworked a whole something around an item, it was Koga Defiance, and look at Eldritch Battery right now. It's freaking garbage. That's what I'm saying.
I think that's all right.
It was Koga Defiance, Koga Defiance, nerf, and what do we got? Yeah, Eldritch Battery, to the point where we had a buff mana and Talisman. So it's
By the way, on a side note, I looked up Cloak of Defiance yesterday and was really, really depressed for a moment when I saw it was going for 5 alterations, the cheapest one. I was like, this used to be a really expensive item.
That's Lightning Coil. That's what Lightning Coil would become if they don't change evasion. It's doomed to happen. I mean, let's look at 2.0 evasion. We had Andre's Guile got gutted, block chance with acrobatics gutted, global monster damage buff. Like, how hard of a hit is that to like 1 year ago? And what have we gotten since then? Well, Taste of Hate got nerfed. You know what I mean? So it's like...
Bismuth Flask, what? Basalt Flask?
Basalt Flask.
Yeah.
Basalt Flask helps a lot. I think that helps evasion a lot.
Even in some cases, if you pick up like the evasion armor nodes in like Duelist, because you're just going to pick them up naturally, you might actually get more from a Granite Still than a Basalt, depending on how much armor it gives. With acrobatics.
I only feel like avoiding dodge or something. No. With aggro? I don't know. I don't know about with aggro.
If you're playing an evasion build, just standard, and say you haven't had the time to pick up, just say standard evasion build, and you roll an Iron Skin Granite, it will be better assuming you're in the 0 mitigation level. But if you're acrobatics, you're much better off running a Basalt Flask for mitigation. Now, the thing is, because Granite's not going to help you against the larger hits. Like going from 0 to 8,000 armor will still help a little bit, but it's going to be the big hit that's going to kill you, and that's what you want the Basalt for, which leads me to the issue that I have with them. I think they should mess with the charges a little bit so you get 2 charges out of it. Like, they can reduce it a tiny bit, because unless you roll it with Ample, you're only getting 1 charge. And for the most part, you don't always know when you're going to die, so you try to keep it up, as much as you can. But if you can only hit it 1 time, you're not just going to randomly hit it expecting like a Roa to charge you in the face.
I feel like we're almost talking a Fortify for evasion builds now, specifically for dealing with physical damage. The only problem then is that regular melee characters and stuff can run it as well. Mm-hmm. So making the charges easier makes it easy to 100% uptime of that extra 20%.
Fair enough.
What if you put it behind...
Go ahead, Yoji.
What if you put something like that behind aggro? Because phase aggro is something that a lot, I would say half of the people don't even pick up anymore. What if there's something behind aggro that gives you some form of mitigation based on your evasion? I don't know, something like that would help. So you can't really pick it up as an armor character because you would have your armor and ES as well.
Yeah, and I'm interested in ideas like that. I think in the past we've talked about the idea of glancing blows and stuff for evasion that would mitigate a percentage of the damage taken. On a roll. Something like that could be interesting. The glancing blow mechanic. I think I'd be interested in seeing a unique that brought that to the game, because remember how Mind Over Matter came with Cloak of Defiance, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be interested in seeing a unique that gave some sort of glancing blow effect that we could. I guess we have a little bit of that with lucky
Crit.
and unlucky.
Laurie's Lantern, yeah.
There is a mechanic with evasion where if a monster crits you, but you have enough evasion, with the formula, the monster won't crit you. It'll just be a normal hit. Evasion already has that built in.
I think that's it. It's just a double roll, right?
Yeah, you hit you twice.
You roll once for the hit, and then the other roll for the crit.
Right.
Yeah,
Evasion has that kind of gimmick, but it definitely glancing blows is a beautiful idea, kind of like a parry mechanic or something. I don't know. I mean, we don't have parry in this game, and block is just all or nothing, and that's how evasion feels. It's all or nothing. Like Snake Eyes, let's go.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem of it, because you don't actually mitigate the actual hit. You only mitigate the number of hits, and eventually you will get hit for something that wrecks you.
So let's go to... Oh, go ahead, Pox.
I was going to say, the last part, the confusing thing about Path of Exile compared to other games is you have an armor-based build on the left side of the tree, which excels in physical mitigation and everything else. And then you have the right side of the tree, which is the evasion. But it's either you go evasion or you go armor. You can't, if you're on this side, you're typically going one. If you're on this side, you're typically going the other. But no matter where you go on the right side of the tree, you're almost always going to be less... have less effective life than the left side of the tree, which is the tree that's already mitigating damage. So you think to yourself sometimes, why does that happen?
Yeah, it's it suits the idea and theme of an evasion character to be less physically tanky, have less life, but the actual mechanics support having a higher life total on an evasion character. Yeah,
and that's why Trickster is overpowered, because you get high evasion and high ES, and you're like, hey. Anyways, Trickster is so damn strong.
But I like that. That is strong.
Damn right, I love it. That's exactly what evasion needs. That massive ES pool and with a chance to not take damage. It's beautiful. So
that is what I. Oh no, go ahead.
Good.
Just a tangent. Don't need it.
So we're on the evasion side of the tree. Evasion excels at not worrying about reflect nearly as much as armor builds do. Armor builds are like physical reflect. What's that? Too bad. Most of my damage is elemental, anyways. Biggest problem, in my opinion, with this game, with the exception of poison builds, is if you're a melee character, elemental reflect is scarier to you than physical reflect. And why is that? Because you got things like ice crash, hatred, added fire, etc., etc., etc. You're using weapon elemental damage, and you are going to kill yourself. It's freaking absurd, and there's no way to deal with it. There's man, I do too much damage. Clear speed. Oh, I'm dead. And it's how does the left side of the tree deal with elemental reflect? Other than Val Pact, which defeats the purpose of being on the left side of the tree, So it's I think this is something that needs to be adjusted now for a while, because you have big hit skills like Ice Crash, Earthquake, Infernal Blow. Granted, the explosion can't hurt you. You really notice Elemental Reflect really screwing up Melee this league. What do you guys thought about this? Ziggy, what do you think about Elemental Reflect in Melee?
I think it's a definite issue that I haven't really seen discussed much, actually, which is surprising, because I feel like with a lot of the stuff we've talked about, plenty in the past, but I guess it's become a bit more of a problem lately, especially with things like elemental focus and stuff coming out, people getting, more options for scaling that elemental aspect of their, melee attacks. Yeah, I definitely see a potential issue there, and I mean, the solution is to go poison. And to not have any elemental damage. But obviously that writes off a couple of different attacks, like things like Ice Crash and stuff like that. Usually the 50-50 split is enough that you can handle both forms of Reflect. Obviously the physical is no problem because of your armor and that. And the elemental is usually okay. And if you are having problems, you're playing crit, you could use something like a Sapphire Flask, or Taste of Hate obviously doubles on your defenses there, so sorts it out. But the problem is then that you're tempted to run things like Herald of Ash and Added Fire and stuff like that add another element into the mix as well. And that's when you start having problems, because you can put investment into mitigating one element pretty easily. But when you have to start running multiple flasks to try and deal with LE Reflect in your melee build, that starts to become a problem. So yeah, there's definitely some issues for like that hybrid fizz with elemental scaling that I don't see too many easy solutions to at the moment. No.
There's no solve to it. Like, what is the solve?
There is a solution, actually. I'm not saying it's the right solution, because not every build...
It'll be drop bears on rowers or something.
No. So you're
a trap.
Right, so if you go Scion, and you go Marauder, or you go Berserker, you get 1.5% leech, you exit out the left side, you play your armor build. Then you exit out the right side and go Vol Pact, and now that way you're covering this left side, you still have leech. 1.5% leech isn't going to save you in party play, and like with an actual proper support, but 1.5% with Fortify, assuming you're using it, should be more than enough to just cover one player HP.
So half of my life nodes that contain regen are now obsolete.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my problem. Like, left side of the tree is just loaded with regen, except JK, I need to go to the right side of the tree to get Val Pact, because Elemental Reflect in my physical build, mind you, my physical build is wrecking me. It makes no sense. None. And it's, I can't believe I'm saying this, for a while, Reflect's a joke, and now all of a sudden we're like, damn, LE Reflect is scary. Where is this coming from now?
It's been like that for a while. People just don't play the high deeps builds, man.
I mean, I remember when Rise died to it.
The thing is, if you want to scale up your damage, at some point you will have to do elemental damage, right? Unless you go poison. I think that's kind of like the problem. I mean, you can what I did on my Earthquake, I just ended up turning off Hatred at some maps, and that kind of worked out. Just but that is a large damage loss. It's more than Enfeeble maps do, and I kind of ended up just running them very slowly, I guess, because if there was a well-rolled map, I didn't want to re-roll them, but I also I kind of could still run them, but it was sketchy, so. I
mean, there's a reason why Voltaxic is the most used unique this league. Well, Lightning Coil, then Voltaxic.
So actually, I was gonna bring up something really fast as well to think of. So you could counteract this as well by using a really bad unique ring, which would reduce the damage you take from Reflect. But Noogie brought up a point, which is fair to an extent, that there should somewhat be a downside to every build. And
yeah, for sure.
There are ways to pad in the Reflect issues to an extent if you want to do it. But of course, scaling up to really, really, really high damage, you're going to be elemental. There's no other way to scale it to after a point.
Yeah, I don't want to free pass on this. I feel like the potential issue here is that there's not really any good solutions apart from what you said with Volpact, which I would say is maybe not a good solution, especially playing like your RT builds and stuff like that.
It's a temporary solution. Let's be honest.
RT Volpact.
When you're actually starting to need to consider that now, right? Because of the elemental scaling. And in the past, it's been I don't know, like, in the past we didn't have interesting ways of scaling Fizz. Now we kind of do with Poison, so there is at least that. But they have done a lot of 50-50 skills, which you can't scale Poison on, so, like your Ice Crash and that sort of thing. So, that's what I'm saying is that it's more of an awkwardness in design right now, rather than wanting, like, a free pass on Reflect. Like, no build should have to worry about Reflect!
Honestly, we don't have pure physical. I mean, we have physical with Poison, or we have physical with a 70% elemental.
Well,
that's what we're at right now in this game.
That's like that's what I view physical with poison as your pure physical setup. But yeah, I agree. We don't have like there's not really effective ways of scaling pure physical.
Except for maybe Aegis, because you're running like Grace Determination IR or something stupid. But then you're not going to die because you're Aegis. But you know, like that's like left field stuff. Cooters, let's talk about the next thing. New currency tabs. Have you actually gotten around, Cooters, to trying out the new currency tabs?
Yeah, I have. I want to ask you one question about like the reflect stuff. So how often do people actually combat like physical reflect with leech, with just physical leech, right? Like life leech, because that's applied before the damage is actually.
If it's instant.
Yeah, if you're not one-shotting yourself, and reflect is more the thing that kind of like...
Sure, but I'm wondering, though, because there's a lot of items in the game right now that don't do elemental leech, right? There's only a few. I think there's like a few with status elements, and there's might be like a mace that does elemental leech, right?
Yeah, there's attack leech on the tree, there's life leech gem, there's warlord's mark, and then there's berserker.
So, I mean, is that
there used to be none before like that zero.
That could be like utilized, like, I mean, if they upped like either the items or maybe something else on the tree that could... deal with the elemental reflect or no?
No, because there's two-handed builds.
It's just okay.
Yeah. You eventually get your point. You'll get to the point where your elemental reflect dealt back to you is more than your health pool, and you die. And the only way to counter that is with Valpact.
Okay.
Because the life leech that is not instant will be like a health pot, a slowly regenerating health pot, and you just one-shot yourself, or you'll two-shot yourself, or something like that. So Valpact has been the only answer, other than Acuities, for pretty much ever.
What do you think if you had more stuff like Sybil's Lament in the game, like actual like specific items you can like put on to counter reflect? Like if you say, okay, I got like rolled like 5 reflect maps now, I want to run them, so I change my gear up a little bit and run like my reflect maps now.
What I think
that's a good idea.
Sybil's Lament is lame because you have to sacrifice her ring. What they should do is behind Resolute Technique, put some kind of 30% reduced damage taken from elemental reflect. Boom, problem solved. You're always going to hit the target. Now you're not going to kill yourself. They've done it in the past with CI, with Infused Shield. They've done it in the past with other things. Like
Rip crit stuff builds.
Behind Conduit's even got something now. Why doesn't Behind RT have something that's like, you don't kill yourself to LA Reflect now. You don't have to go to Valpact in the Shadow Tree with RT, you know? It'd be nice to have that kind of thing.
I think that it would be cool, actually. Let's go with Yoji's idea here and say I think it'd be fun to actually have the ability to weapon swap or gear swap. Well, not weapon swap, but gear swap into a minor change. So you hurt yourself, you diminish a few stats in your character, but you can run this map now. So say like blood magic, right? Say you have 7 blood magic maps and you just hold them there, and then you swap on it to a different set of gear. A couple of uniques, like 2-3 uniques, you flip around, and then you can go do it. And I think that's a pretty neat idea. I think another cool thing about that is if GGG really plays the card rights on doing something like this, is if they make sure to put that immune to reflect, or say whatever item it is in a spot that is like a really high prioritized gear, a gear spot, it could really make an interesting thing combination.
Chest armor, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
But chest armor means lightning. Sorry.
I know that they Diablo 3 had something like that, right, in Greater Rifts, where they had to eliminate the use of switching gear because it was just too strong, right? But I don't know if that's something that would happen in Path, because I mean with Diablo, like resistances were crazy. You would take no damage pretty much, but I guess you could still take quite a damage in Path, even with quote unquote max resist.
I find it pretty interesting because I personally don't have a problem to have like 2 or 3 different gear pieces, especially on my support. Like if I want to run different auras, I have to have like a 2nd and a 3rd alpha soul that are differently colored for different party setups to actually optimize my supporting abilities. And I don't have a problem with that. I actually like that aspect of it. And if there's like, okay, let's not run blood magic maps today, then everyone switches over to blood magic, and that works. And now chat is spamming against game, and that confuses me.
Because someone said D3.
D3.
I said D3, and people hate it.
Oh yeah.
Everyone watching me from YouTube is like, "What's a Dan's game?" Like,
it looks like this.
Oh man. Oh, all right. So let's go to the next topic. Enough griping about LA Reflect. It's definitely a big problem to the point where you have to go solo. You can't even have the support because you'll kill yourself. I mean, that's pretty special. Let's talk about the new currency tabs. I asked you a question, Cooters. Now that we're 20 minutes later.
Sure.
Have you tried the new currency tabs at all?
I have. I bought it. I actually bought it just so quickly. And the reason why is because I've noticed that I don't even play, Path as nearly as much as you guys do, because I know you guys are always doing full-time streaming stuff, and so you're putting a lot of hours per day into the game. And just me, playing, 3 to 6 hours a day, I fill up like, whole tabs worth of just random currency crap. And so I was like, I can free up so many tabs just by purchasing one tab. I do like the idea. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, I don't really like the layout. It looks kind of weird to me. It looks really just slopped together. I don't like that aspect of it. And the other thing I wish they did was they made them more dynamic to the league. So for Prandis, for example, I wish they had sections for your coins. And then maybe if there's a league that would utilize another kind of like currency like that, it would just change on your tab. They just kind of put those in there for that league.
The saddest thing about the currency
I just have a tab with just a bunch of coins, and it's just kind of like, it just feels weird. I don't know.
On that particular note, the saddest thing about the currency tab basically confirms that there won't be any Prandis in subsequent leagues.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Honestly,
No, I get that.
Maybe.
What triggers me most about the currency tab, like I almost posted on Tumblr, I was triggered so hard. The whetstone is before the armor scrap. But we've learned in Path of Exile, the armor scrap is less valuable than the whetstone. Because you go to the vendor to buy an armor scrap, it costs a whetstone. Or, 3 armor scraps to get a whetstone, vice versa. You know what I mean? Why is whetstone first and the armor scrap second? I can't do it. It triggered me.
I just wanted to pause it
I
all.
can't do it.
I honestly wish they would allow you to customize a little bit more, like change the order of things, because there's definitely different things I use more, like chromatic orbs, jeweler's orbs, stuff like fusings. I use those all the time, right? And it's kind of like I don't know. It's not really. I think for each person, it can really trigger some people where they're like, oh, I wish this was here. I wish that was there, because it's all kind of like muscle memory where you move the mouse and stuff, I think.
There is kind of a way of customizing it. You get a normal tab, and then you can put them wherever you want.
Oh, nice. I should go back to the normal tabs.
The only thing
Go ahead, Box. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it would be cool just for them to integrate a just deposit all button. It just whoosh.
So you don't
Yeah.
like having scrolls in
Well,
your
because when
inventory?
you're
Or?
because when you're mapping, if you want to go zoom 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 zoom, say you roll like 20 strands, you're like, all right, the dream. You just run your strands. You get out of your map, deposit all, go on your map. Run on your map, deposit all, go on your. You just pick up your little rare jewelry and accessories. You skip all the poopy bases. So
So I guess you don't want to keep scrolls in your inventory, including portal scrolls?
nope.
Okay.
I mean, putting chaos next to
Hardcore, man.
exalt is scary, because if you're chaos spamming something and you accidentally get that exalt, feels bad, man. Feels
Although I
bad.
didn't think about that part, Ziggy.
It's
You did
really scary.
Ruined.
Just-
I was like,
Me-
how do you
me-
pull it out of your map box?
All right, just to clarify, we're gonna have an open. We have 5 people here, so we have even versus odd. Settled. 3 out of 5 here. Are the currency tabs pay to win? Explain. If you think yes, explain why. If you think no, you don't have to explain shit.
Can I just go walk away right now because I
Right.
want to just.
Are they pay to win? I think no. I think it's pay for convenience. Box.
I'm not gonna answer that question.
Oh man.
I can't answer this question. I'm triggered by it.
And Tumblr boys. Ziggy, what do you? I heard your chat was like full Rito, like pay to win.
Yeah, I was really surprised by the reaction to the currency tab, because to me this is like a natural extension of the premium tabs, like the regular adding extra stash tabs to you. So I think if you had a problem with regular tabs or regular premium tabs, then you'd have the same problem with the currency tab. But I mean, to me, this is exactly the sort of thing, exactly in line with PoE's monetization of monetizing something that is just a pure convenience feature. And that to me, the way I bought it, I bought it instantly, because I was like, fuck man, I'm too lazy to sort out my inventory. This gave me no other advantage other than the fact that I don't have to sort it. And I actually prefer that it's not customizable, because now I'm not wasting any time trying to customize it and get the layout right and everything. I'm just control click everything across, and it's just pure convenience for me. So I see this as a pure convenience thing, and I can't. One of the arguments I've heard that I think holds any water, I try and seek out the other arguments, even if they don't make any sense to me. I try and seek out the other arguments, and the one that holds a little bit of water, I think, is if you're a high volume currency flipper, being able to price all of your currency in one stack and how it manage exactly how much currency you have and stuff like that is a nice advantage, but not really much more so than, you know, having regular premium tabs, being able to label them and all that sort of stuff. So that's the only thing that I think holds some water, is the idea of like high volume currency flipping. But no, I don't think this at all even treads the line of pay to win. Like, I obviously have my own concerns with the trading from premium tabs that I've brought up in the past, but I don't think this is even in that category.
The way how I see it is, once GGG releases kitty ears that give me 5% all stats, I'm out. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm not playing that crap.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that.
See, she's pay to win.
I'll buy it without the stats. I'll just buy it for the cat ears.
Oh, confirmed. Kitty ears coming out 2017.
I'm actually at a point where I'm not even sure if it's worth getting for me. I got one like instantly because I was okay, might as well try it out. But I like to have like random other things in my first stash tab. Like, for example, when I switch my auras on my support now, I have a life flask there, so I can like kind of fill up my life because I'm Zealot's Oath, and if I want to switch auras, I need that. I kind of have stuff I craft in my first stash tab, like flasks I kind of want to craft, or some other items that I want to be reminded of that I want to put on at some point because I forget things all the time. And yeah, I'm at this point, I'm not even like 100% sure if I want to keep it at my first stash tab and not actually go back to the old stash tab. So I don't think it's really pay to win. I actually noticed that I take longer in between maps right now to stash my stuff, because I used to like throw a lot of stuff like in my first stash tab, and like Apoc said, roll 10 strands, run the first strand, throw everything in one tab, run another strand, throw it all in, and at the end of the day, you're like, okay, what divination card stacks do I have? Okay, like 5 gamblers, 3 Reign of Chaoses, whatever, and then you like turn them in, and it is kind of. I'm not decided yet if I actually want to keep it that way or not.
Yeah, I am having to like change my habits a bit with that. Like, especially I always put things in my left tab to craft, but now that you can't put it in the currency tab to craft, that's throwing me off a little bit.
It's like a piece of gear I'm about to put on, a flask I'm about to put on, something I want to regal, like crap like that. The things that I need to be reminded, because I always go in my currency tab, so I need a reminder.
Bolts you want to put on, stuff like that.
So my currency tabs are bugged right now. What happened was, on the first day, I tried to buy it and it said, request timeout, try again. Well, I tried again 6 more times, and lo and behold, there was 7 tabs all of a sudden. I was like, yo, WTF, barbecue, all that good shit. So I take a GGG, and they're like, hey, man, we're gonna get rid of them, but we're not sure which one's yours, and we're not going to check, so we're going to delete all your currency if it's in there. So I'm like, oh, no. So I took all my currency out. I'm old school again. I'm old school. And I found myself already, you know, after playing with the currency tab and going back old school, I'm like, wow, I really do missing having those things that I'm ready to put on soon, or the new flasks, I do find myself, so I'm like, maybe just get rid of all of them and I'll be playing without it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just say this is such a non-controversial feature and not even good for everyone. Like yourself, I think a lot of people are actually going to prefer not having the currency tab. So to me, it's just a pure customization, and it seems like a natural extension of the regular premium tabs, right? Yep. First you can name them and color them, and now you can have like an overlay thing that's automatically sorted for you. Like, perfect. Yeah. I applaud that form of monetization, and I hope that we see more of it.
I think that's good. And I noticed the funny thing, by the way. I noticed that I don't convert my currency as much since I use the stash tab. I have like stacks of 160 chaos, because it's not like filling up. I don't convert them to exalts as early as I normally would. Normally I would be like, okay, I have like 100 chaos. I kind of can convert one now, like to one exalt now. And I just don't do that anymore at all, which is really interesting. I mean, that kind of can affect the economy of the game, after all. Just like people having currency stash tab. I mean, it affects me. I don't know about other people.
People hoarding their transmutes.
Yeah.
The funny thing about, they always say, well, time equals money. It's like the people usually say that AFK in their hideout for 2 hours anyways, and they you go watch the latest Gossip Girl. I mean, come on, let's be real. Is that show even on the air? But you get my gist. Like, people will like complain about time equals money, but then they'll AFK in their hideout forever, because I whisper you guys want to buy your damn items. So it's like, it defeats the purpose. I don't know. I don't know.
I was going to say, all I know is I paid, man, and Havoc still beat me to 100, so I clearly didn't win shit. So, I mean, that was...
wow. You should get a refund, Fox.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a question for you, Ziggy. Since you're talking about the convenience factor for you, say they didn't even have... Because for me, the currency tab was really about having the stackables up to, like, what is it, like 5,000? Something crazy, right? Is it like 5,000? I don't know. It's 5,000. So I know I'm never going to get to 5,000 of anything, really. In a long while. But for you, I mean, would you pay for, if they just had a button that auto sorted, like, you know, your normal tab? Would you pay for that?
An auto sort of another one. See, You're touching on an interesting topic here, which is the idea of monetizing quality of life
I'm
improvements.
actually I'm more curious about, are you willing to pay for just pure convenience? Because I think the stacking to 5,000 really for me is the big thing, because it saves a lot of space, right? Instead of multiple pages, it's one page.
I think in answer to your question, I probably would, but I would draw more issue from that than from this. And
sure, I get that. I was just curious.
And that's, I think you're touching on what a lot of people's argument is, the idea that ZiggyD monetized 2 quality of life improvements in a row, which is not enough to draw a conclusion of a trend from. Let's be real, but sky is falling. They did monetize two quality of life improvements in a row. Like, people have been wanting trade improvements for the longest time, and they monetized it. I draw issue with that personally, and I have already expressed my issues with the premium tab trading. But I don't draw issue with the premium, like the currency tab, right? I don't draw issue with that. So how can you draw issue with one and not the other? And I mean, that's just the thing, right? There's not like a straight. They shouldn't ever monetize any quality of life improvements, and they should monetize all quality of life improvements. There's no like one or the other answer here. It's varying degrees of gray here. Like you said, like an auto sort feature, it's pretty similar to a currency stash tab for me, right? In terms of like purpose, it's a improvement to convenience. But auto sort of stash, I feel like would fall into my imaginary category of this is a quality of life improvement that the game needs, that has been wanting for a long time, that shouldn't be monetized. But maybe it could be done as a premium tab benefit.
I guess for me, here's the thing is that when I start, any league as a new character, I just start sorting like my currency stuff right off the bat. That way I don't have to do it later. Because I know people just get triggered with how messy, your tab is. You're like, I wish I had time to sort this, but I'm not going to waste my time, quote unquote waste. It doesn't take too long, but that's why I just start, kind of mapping it out. And it's pretty easy to organize after that. But that's like for me, I didn't really get the quality of life improvement for the sorting aspect where I can find things very easily. It's more the fact that I freed up multiple tabs, So I guess it's kind of interesting from my, point of view. I paid for freeing up tabs, whereas you kind of paid more for a quality of life kind of like, sorting aspect.
Something I think that they should make accessible, as in new players come in all day today or yesterday, they're like, Zeno, I'm new to this game, how do I make money? I'm like, well, you take your premium stash, So, I think that you should have at least one tab that is accessible to trade with. Just give the players 100%. One sell tab. Now it's not pay to win. Now everybody has the advantage. If you like it, you can buy more. Now monetization's good.
So here's the thing, right? For the longest time, anyone who complained about being able to buy additional stash tabs as being like an advantage, the argument was that ZiggyD started themselves. They said was you can have multiple free accounts and you can multiply those free starting tabs and multiply them out. But there's no way of like doing that with the new premium currency, the premium trading tab, right? You can't make another account to create a trading. You don't have any, so it doesn't multiply anything like that. So that old argument that ZiggyD initially relied on themselves is no longer a factor. So that's and like as you said, like how do new players get involved in trading in the first place? So that trade chat. That's how they get involved. Are you really willing to subject every new player that comes to the game to trade chat? You horrible, horrible monsters.
That's how we get rid of new players.
Every time I turn on trade chat in hardcore, selling exalts 55C, same guy every day. I'm just like, he's doing it somehow, some way. Some fool's like, ooh, an exalted orb. I need that. I got 55 chaos, and this poor soul doesn't have a premium stash tab. I got you guys. If you're poor out there, I got your back. One free tab for all.
New players being subjected to trade chat.
Honestly, if you have a problem with it, you should probably just chill and vape. Sorry.
Something I discussed with a few friends is like we discussed and someone brought up the point of would you be playing Path of Exile now if when you started there would be the premium stash tab? The thing we have right now. Because usually when I come new into the game, I like look at their monetization model and try to figure out if I think the way it's going is going to be a good one or not. And I think, honestly, I would not be sitting here right now if that would be in place. Because I have pretty damn high standards when it comes to pay for convenience.
I think if it was like what it is now, where we did have access to third-party stuff, I wouldn't have, I would have still kept playing the game. Like I can manage to look past a few things that I'm like, it's not the best, but whatever. Like when MMOs do a head start, right? I think head starts are a shitty practice. but every MMO does a head start these days. So I'm like, if it's a good enough game, I can overlook a few things.
Yeah,
I think Path of Exile is a good enough game that I would overlook that, but that doesn't mean like we shouldn't, now still criticize. Even if GGG have had the best monetization, like they've like one of the top 3 monetizations in the gaming industry, right? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Maybe we should be even more critical of them because of that, because we want them to maintain that and lead the future for other games as well.
Yeah, that's the point I want to make.
enough.
It's like
I
before
feel like
could
I'm
recommend...
overly critical of this because of that.
Yeah. I kind of feel a little bit overly critical, but before it was like when someone asked, and by the way, it's like a free-to-play game, you tell me it's like really great, but isn't there like there has to be like some kind of catch to it, right? And I could honestly say no, there's no catch. There's there's something about the stash tabs, but not mentioning that, I didn't feel bad about that because that only affects you if you're already so deep into the game that you are basically that you can pay for it and don't mind paying for it. But right now it's like in-game trading, you can do it with like this third party stuff, but that really puts people off. I feel. Well, it's a feature that should be in the game and it shouldn't be gated behind a paywall.
So I got a question for Cooters here. So Cooters, you're still fairly new to the game, and I remember about 1 month into the league in Talisman, you're like, hey, I need a new bow, and you linked me your bow. It was like 180 PDPS, and you were like level 70. I was like, what?
It was so good. It was so good, yeah.
And I was like, well, just get this bow. It's 10 chaos. You're like, 10 chaos. It's all my money.
Chaos. Yeah, it was everything I
all
had.
my money. And I'm like, you've been playing this game a month. You only have 10 chaos. You're like, yeah, I've been doing the chaos recipe. And I'm just like, so as a new player, like 10 chaos is a ton. To me, it's like, this is spam some freaking shit.
To be honest, I have most of my currency in its like, like alteration, transfer, all that stuff form, right? I don't really collapse that down the chaos. I don't see it that way since I rarely know the conversion rates. But I mean, I usually have, the money for it or the currency for it. It's just that I see chaos as in like pure form, right? And I just don't really like calculate the other stuff. But yes, it is very hard. Like, I mean, I was watching your Facebreaker build, I think, and you spent what 8.5x on like the whole thing. Is that about right?
No, just my chest piece. Just my chest.
Oh, just your chest piece. Okay, so 8.5 exalted for me. Like, I'm like I luckily found 2 exalted orbs, right? Like this league. And it's just like, that's like what I own. That's like basically my net worth right now on like Horrendous. Plus, maybe another exalted or 2. So we'll say 4, if I converted everything. I don't even have half of what you paid for like your chess piece, right? And it's obviously just, 1 is playtime. 2 is I don't trade much. I've actually benefited a lot from like the premium like trade stuff that goes on PoE not trade. I have a lot of people just messaging me for like just random rares that I said, okay, these are probably worth like 1 or more, chaos. And people do actually message me for that stuff.
So
I think for me it's
Talisman,
helpful.
This league versus Talisman, would you say you're having a better time using the premium stash tab feature for making money?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, before in Talisman, I didn't trade 1 item on PoE.trade. I didn't really care. I did more self-found, and then I would just ask people, either in trade chat or like on stream or whatever, be like, hey, I'll trade this for you, this for this or whatever. And I just never traded my own gear because I didn't really care to advertise it. I didn't really have like I didn't want to put the effort into it.
And if you were playing Talisman League again, and they offered you 1 free premium stash tab that you could use to sell things, would you have been more inclined to make sales rather than just like, what you went through now?
You mean like I had to pay for it?
Yeah, no, you started pay to, the game is free to play, no pay to win feature, and they have 1 tab that you could use to sell. Would you have embraced that right away and been excited about that? And
yeah, for sure.
And
I think it's like it's such an easy like kind of transition into the PoE.trade because with that you're like, how does this work? Do I have to make an account? How do I set this up? Like how do I set up a shop and blah blah blah.
As a follow-up question there,
right?
If you having traded and not traded and play 2 separate leagues, either way, do you think your game experience would have been enhanced earlier on if you had been trading, if you had been selling some stuff?
You know, my game it would have been enhanced.
Yeah, do you think you would have had a better time? Basically, have you had a better time since you've started trading?
No. I think people just come over and like are like the rudest, like just dumbest people. But it's actually, I don't know if that's enhanced my experience. I have a lot of people who come in, like I'll be like in my hideout, I'll be like my hideout, and then like they're just sitting there, and you leave after like a minute, you're like, fuck this guy, and then like someone comes in later, or he's just like, where are you, man? And it's like, are you kidding me? And then they try to trade you, and they go, oh, I don't have pure, I have half of what I told you I'd give you,
dude,
like in this like this random out stuff. It's like what? So I don't know. Like in terms of enhanced, I wouldn't say that. But it definitely changed experience in the game.
Okay, all right. Because I have a theory, right, that if you get new players engaged in trading earlier, then they're gonna be more likely to stick with the game because the game is, you know, trade is such a fundamental part of the game. But kind of,
I mean, there's
put a pretty nice counter opinion. That did not go how I expected.
I think when I
There goes
started
my
playing,
theory.
I was going to say when I started playing, I think Zeno was really big on trade etiquette with me. Like he was getting people would get so triggered if I didn't go in their hihideout within like 2 seconds.
Yep.
You know,
Trade
I'm just like
etiquette's
walking
everything
around.
in
I'm
this
like,
game.
I don't know how to trade. What do I do? And everyone's like, go to their hideout. They're gonna be so mad. They're just gonna kick you out of the park. I don't know. I was like, I don't even know how to go.
I got 3 things to say to you. TY for scam. That's trade etiquette. That whole meme was 2 people being dicks to each other. That's how important trade etiquette is in this game. So it's like the other day a new player comes in my hideout and wants to buy my ghost for 8C. He gives me 5 baubles, 2 fuse, his mom's maiden name, like all this crap. And I'm just like, what is this? So I close the tab and he reopens it. I'm like, all right, here comes 8C and some fuse. It's even more junk. And I'm just like, I'm done, man.
I had a trade yesterday. No, 2 days ago. That was great. Someone wanted to buy something off me for 4 chaos. So he comes into the party and he goes, hold on, let me bring my friend. So he invites his friend. His friend gives him 3. And then his friend says, hold on, let me ask my guildmates. So then he brings another guy into the party who gives him the last one. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. I was just like, what is that?
That's hobo level, man.
I was just like so entertained. I was like, is this really happening? Are they borrowing 4 chaos? Like, I don't know. It was just really funny. But I think I'm honestly going to go back to, I think this next upcoming league, I want to try what Project is doing and just go 100% solo self-found just for 1 league. And I want to see how it is, because I think now more than ever, at least this league per an would have been the best opportunity for you because of the per an points.
On the flip side, I also think it's one of the more interesting ones to even do some hardcore trading in. So if on the opposite, next league I want to go absolutely ham on trading.
The other day, I put something in my chaos tab for 1 chaos, and some guy's like, "That's too good for 1. See, I'll give you 3." And I'm looking at it, I'm like, "It's got like 8 life regen on it." I'm like, why would? It's like junky stats, you know, like thorns, and he's like, "I'm making a thorns build that needs life regen." I'm just like, so I guess Ziggy, you go for it, man, go for it.
You know, I think
sell junk.
What a bird,
like
too.
a big thing with this, like the premium stash tab stuff, is the naming thing. I've told people about this in my stream. Like, do you ever have a thing where you say, okay, this is probably worth like 3 chaos, but I'm going to put in a tab that's called 5C. And people go to and don't actually put a buyout price, right? And people go to offer to you, and they look at it and they go, oh shit, it's in their tab called 5C. They obviously want 5 chaos for it. So I've had people think, oh man, I can't low blow. I don't want to lowball them with 3C. Maybe I'll give them 4, And there's a definitely mind game with the stash tab naming that I've noticed.
What I've done with the premium stash has been godly, because anytime it's got a rarity on it, you're like, is it prefix or suffix? So from now on, whenever I put something up, I'm like, has open suffix for crit on an amulet, or be like, can roll suffix rarity. I'll just put these notes, and it's making things sell like that.
Yeah, rings with can craft life on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sell so fast.
Your
scroll through and wait, you can craft life on this? Buy.
Because they don't know what a prefix is. They don't know what a suffix is. Oh, I can put life on that? Elrion, my man.
Yeah, I had 4 rings listed at the beginning of the league, and as soon as I changed that note into there, they sold within 2 days. They would been there for 2 weeks before. That was pretty cool. Tip for my guildmate. I took it.
Do you guys know about the new scam that's going around that people are doing? So if you have something in a premium stash tab, I guess you could always do this before, but if you have it in premium stash tabs and you just have it under a cell and you don't actually put the actual listing of the whole tab, they'll copy it on PoE.trade and then change the buyout. So from 11 chaos to 4 chaos, and they'll whisper you it. And if you don't hover over the item to see what it's listed for, you might get a little confused. It's really funny. It was happening a lot recently.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of where before they used to do that, but you could always look at the stash tab name, but now they know that you don't have that when you don't have it. That's
right.
The scammers get help.
It's crazy how we could just talk about trade forever.
Yeah, it's such a big part of the game. And you can talk about that. It's like a whole economic mini game kind of in the game.
To answer my own question that I asked Cooters earlier, and I'm also curious about you guys as well. I enjoy playing solo self-found in this game. I think it's a fun additional challenge that you can take on, and I do it every now and then. But I do think I have a bit of time in this game when I trade. And the more engaged I get in trading in a league, the more fun and more engaged in that league I am. The leagues where I've really gone ham on trading and really put effort into like crafting things and stuff like that to sell specifically. Those are the leagues I've enjoyed the most. So I'm curious about you guys. What about you, Yoji? Do you feel you enjoy the game a lot more with like when you trade a lot more, or not so much?
First of all, of course, I enjoy it more because I like to try out different builds that require like those hipster builds that require special uniques and stuff. You obviously can't get them if you don't trade, and sometimes they are actually pretty expensive if you try to make a hipster build, even with like a Wind Ripper or whatever, with like any like Wind Ripper range attack totems or whatever you want to make. You need those items, and you can't really get the currency reliably or the items reliably without trading. That's like the basic level. But I also enjoy trading in general, like coming up with new ways to make currency. For example, this league, algs are like 4-1 chaos or something like this, but ring prices are still high. So I just alg rings all day, and it's great. And it's like this little feeling of like you accomplished something. You found like this little loophole in the economy, and you exploit it, and you make currency, and it's cool. And I enjoyed that a lot. It's a really cool feeling. I like it a lot. As much as I'm not really someone who likes to like trade all day and not play in map as much, like flipping items and actually like going above and beyond and just actually play the trading game. But having trading as like maybe like take a third of my time in PoE I'm completely fine with that.
That's what I think most players are actually, is at that point where they just do a little bit of trading, right? Just enough to fund their builds and stuff. And I feel like that's where the trading tabs are at, right? Having a single trading tab to be able to do that, I think is going to enhance the game experience of a lot of people. Just so they can just do that, just enough trading to fund their builds. Not really getting super ham. The people who get really involved in trading, those are the people that are buying more premium stash tabs and so on. That's what I think.
There's an idea.
Also
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Yoji.
Also, the automatic search option PoE trade that you can do now, where you can type in, okay, for example, I wanted to buy an Abyssus, so I typed in, I want a minimum roll on the damage taken, and I want at least 220 crit multi, but I don't want to pay more than 40C for it. So now, whenever someone puts one of them up, it goes like boop, and I see it, and I can whisper him instantly.
Yeah,
it's pretty
I love
cool.
that. Something I've been wanting to pitch to GG for a while. I've been talking about this with my stream. A league where everything you can't trade. You drop it on the ground, only you can see it. That's it. Now, hear me out. Currency rates multiply by 10 to 15. Currency rates that drop are multiplied by 10 to 15. The success of chancing a unique is greatly higher too. A pure crafting league that potentially could go into the abyss, the void, whatever.
So GGG have said that they won't do that because it sets, an expectation that makes the regular game feel crappy. But I feel like Apprentice League has kind of done that anyway, so they've not really followed their own game design.
And it would be a great way to bring back the Eternal Orb, just for like a 1 month race or something, where we could be like, let's craft. Look how many Exalted I have. Because the Exalted Orb is rarely used for its intended purpose. It's used for that freaking Benjamin Franklin $100 bill, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's fat cash. Now the Exalted Orb is actually used for crafting. How many times have you had that 3-prop jewel, you're like, I'll exalt that later, and then you die. Now you'll actually exalt it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that league would be so much fun.
I feel like you just want to go back to childhood and just run your Game Shark through your Pokemon.
Hey, there's no Game Shark. There is no Game Shark. You're crafting your own gear. You're working from scratch. I'm not creating a piece of gear.
You're working from scratch, but getting it at 15 times the speed.
No, I'm not. Because you can't trade. I could trade and get the item faster than crafting it, Fox.
I mean, it's on you, so... I don't know, I feel like if you make it too easy...
Self-found, but won't play self-found, like, what?
The league hasn't started yet. I said in the next league. What? I'm saying, I feel like if you do that, like, we already have Piranhas, right? And we're all happy and excited about this and etc. If you take it a next step past that, people are already saying it's too easy. You take it a step past that, you're getting... insane drops that you can spend to just pure craft, but not everyone's going to want to do it. That's what I mean.
That's why it's optional. It's a 1 month thing. It would be just like a little test league, just to see how it runs. I don't know. I think it'd be fun.
I think it could be fun for like a week or so. Yeah, it's a 1 week race in between leagues. By the way, does anyone else miss the 1 week between leagues? Just wondering.
No.
Anyone was like,
I like the downtime, but I do like the idea of doing a 1 week for a Craftsman League, though, because I like the idea of the GGG could get some interesting data from that to see how people play that, maybe fine tune some things in the regular game in a good way. So I like the idea of them experimenting with stuff like that for sure. But yeah, I like having the breaks between the leagues and the wind down at the end of the league for games like this, for sure.
There's a bunch of things that could come, like. I hope next league we finally get a new master, some kind. Like, you think about, like, a Jewel Master. You always have that 3 prop jewel because you regal it. How about like a jewel master that offers you a less, like half of the value of another mod? You know, like getting that perfect 4 prop jewel still would be there, but maybe a master that offers like much less of a value than another mod. I don't know, something like that. A new master of the game, a flask master. Now that we have even more flask mods, something. Like, how many suffixes and prefixes do we have now? You know, impossible to roll a life flask. I just buy that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can actually sell flasks now. That on topic of trading again. That's actually a new thing because it's become harder to roll like, I don't know, your perfect curse removal surgeons or whatever you want.
Man, I just sold like some random like seething of curse removal, and I was like, wow, man. Okay, for chaos, I was like, sweet. Just randomly, accidentally put it in a tab and sold it, and was like, okay.
They sell fast. They sell pretty fast.
I think that's another kind of like just example of you know, having the premium stash tab. You don't even know that it's worth anything possibly, and then people start offering things for it. Like I knew some of my leveling gear. Like I had a 4-link gold rim, and I kid you not, 3 minutes after I put it into one of my tabs, someone asked me like they wanted to buy it. You know, like it's just crazy at how fast that stuff, you know, kind of syncs up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you put your vendor items in a paid like a price.
Yeah, I kind of
stash tab.
I knew it was gonna happen. I was like, is it really gonna be like, you know, today, tomorrow? And it legit was like 3 minutes later. It was ridiculous.
I think on the topic of masters, actually, Zeno and I were discussing this like a month ago. So like let's talk about like a rough draft for a jewel master, right? So you say you're crafting a jewel, or you find a jewel, right? You've got a white jewel, you craft it up, you get one property that you like. Say you get 14% physical damage. You augment another thing that you like, and then you regal, I don't know, some crappy stat. Well, you're not going to exalt it anymore. It's done. You're not going to scour it because you're just going to roll another blue jewel. So that rare jewel is pretty much done. It doesn't do anything. I mean, you might be able to sell it for something, but if you could just mastercraft another minor stat onto it, like literally even half the value, if you could put 4% life or 3% life on it, that jewel now becomes much more appropriate for your build. And again, realistically, who is going to exalt that jewel, and what is its purpose anymore? It got bricked, but you're not going to scour it. It's not high item level.
Yeah, jewels drop like candy, so you just alteration spam another one. So it's like scouring a jewel is literally pointless.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do think that there should be like, I don't know, a new master. The only problem is masters take forever to level, and the dailies need to go like. Ugh. I think everyone here is just over dailies. Like, level this master to level 8. Here we go again, boys. See you in 3 months.
Yeah, I just don't. There's always someone who's willing to do that. I'll just pay them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
Katarina mission again. Time to resident sleeper. Oh, Elrion,
Like
that gives experience. We're in.
Yeah. I'm worried.
But then there's like the 15-minute Orient missions where like 3 squids come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Katarina, I completely friend zoned her. I don't even talk to her anymore. Like completely out.
Wow, not even friend zone.
I get high enough
But you're
level
not
to get like the stuff I need, like spell crit, and I'm like level 7, nope. Level 6, I can do the fuse bro deal with Varici, but too bad I can't kill any of the guards. All right. Like, I'm so over masters.
All right.
All right, what do we got? What else we got? I think it's time for Q&A. We got about 20 minutes left. Any questions you guys would like to ask to any of the 5 of us? Just do at ZiggyD Live and then just ask the question to whoever you'd like.
Yes, do that. Alrighty, I'll start posting those in. But so in the meantime, though, I was curious to ask you guys, with the League of Plenty that we're in at the moment, right, with plentiful access thanks to trading changes and to Mr. Kadira himself, we have a lot of uniques available to us, you know, at cheaper prices than usual. So are you guys finding yourselves wanting to play like more or less with the way the game currently is? And as a follow-on to that, do you find yourself wanting to make more builds than you normally do? And are you like letting go of builds quicker? Like, are you getting over your builds quicker? So I'll start with you, Pox. What do you think, man?
Yeah, so definitely I'm way more inclined to create more characters and get more builds going because it's much easier to fund them. It's so much easier because you could potentially find something like, oh man, you know, I really wonder what my next build is going to be, and then a Voltaxic pops up and you're like, all right, let's go. But I will say, because you get them so much quicker, I have noticed I've been getting bored. I don't think that's because of the league though. I think that's more because of the Ascendancy. Just you play a character and it's going great, and then you're just like, oh my god, but if I played this as a Scion and went this and changed this up, it would be so much better. So I don't think that has anything really to do with Parandis. But I know for a fact Parandis has definitely allowed me to make so many more builds due to the influx of just being easier to obtain as shavs, for example, you know?
What about you, Yoji?
For me, the thing with obtaining shafts and all that stuff kind of only enabled me to actually like play better builds, or like more fledged out builds. For example, my low life guardian obviously would not really work without a shafts, and that's kind of like the main point of it. I just plan more expensive builds now because I know I can get the items. It's not that I would just play cheaper builds, because I kind of like, I know I can make this many exalts or whatever in that period of time. So I would plan a build according to that. That's how I work out my builds. I'm not like, okay, I want to play low life, so I gotta save up for it. That's what I did before. And I found myself to just, at the moment, play more builds because, first of all, I play more because I started streaming more. But the other point is also that I want to try out so many things. Like, I have the list of builds that I want to make that is, I can't even do half of those this league, not even a quarter of those. Like, so many silly ideas, because I love my silly builds. I want to do cast on crit Whispering Ice. I want to do Facebreaker Totems, which I did. I can cross that off the list. I want to do something with Lion Eyes Fall range attack totems. I got like all these crazy ideas that I kind of want to make. I want to do something with the Tripanon, or what's called the always crit maze. I want to do all the things. I also want to use all the old legacy uniques that we can now use, like Jaws, Black Steel, or whatever. I want to make builds with those as well. I want to make so many builds, and I can't. I think that's the main reason. And with Ascendancy, there are also more approaches to each build that you can take. That you can make. Oh, do I take Scion? I want to play this variant or this variant or this variant. And
for me, this league it's a double-edged sword. I agree with you, Yoji. I can fund any spec I want to freaking play, and it's great. The downside is, I'm like, why is this item that's worth 8 chaos every league suddenly people are whispering for 1 chaos? It's 4 linked with 38 strength, 90 life, and 2 reds. Why is this guy offering 1 chaos? So it's like, it makes people like cheap as hell. Like, cheap as hell. Like, soup. I'm like, I might as well just throw this in the chaos recipe. Like, get out of here with your 1 chaos offer. It makes people real stingy. So it's like, it's a hit or miss for me. It's like, I could totally buy this shafts for 1x, 2x, whatever, but then I'm going to have to sell this rare piece of gear for 2 chaos instead of 8. You know what I mean? So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. I don't know. But all in all, Parandis, I hope, I'm going to say this now, it's fun to have things while you're leveling up with, but goddamn is it everywhere. And it's maybe a bit too much. Like Pac said, tone it down heavily if we're going to add it to the core of the game.
I'm getting kind of sick of the chests myself, actually. Like, the chest mobs are starting to peeve me off a bit. Especially the freaking bubble ones, man. Yeah. Where you're supposed to, like, you have to kill each mob individually once, and you're, like, got the bubble guys just keep respawning, and they take no damage. So, god damn it.
You get no EXP unless you kill them all, like, one time. You kill them all once, and they just keep coming back. Sometimes you just don't get any EXP. And it's like, oh, JK, because the boss was all the way over there.
I was in Val Pyramid.
That's a good boss.
I was in Val Pyramid, and it was like the far left area was like a little narrow area, and there was the chest was there with all the mobs, and the boss, I would have to walk all the way around the square just to fight him, and I'm like, why? Drove me nuts.
What about you, Cooters? How have you felt yourself wanting to play more builds or less this league, or turning them over faster?
I honestly think I have a tip for all you guys. If you guys don't want to get sick of builds, just die faster. That's pretty much what happens for me.
That's what I did for my old snapper.
I'm the type of player. I'll get bored with the build usually around level 80. I think is where that's usually my breaking point where I'm like, I'm done. I don't get very far with like high end maps and stuff. I don't know. Like I kind of like the grinding aspect, I guess, and just trying different builds out. And I feel like the reason why I like doing different builds is just because I feel like I, gain more experience with the game. But in terms of this league, I've actually, I don't know how, but I've actually died more. So I've actually explored more builds than last league. But then again, last league, I did start, I started way later for hardcore. So I guess I don't really think of softcore. But in terms of making more builds, I think it's a lot easier. I mean, it's way easier to explore different, options with the saturation of the market. Like, everything is so cheap. Like, I mean, you find an item and you think, oh man, drill neck. I'll get like an exalted for this. This is awesome. And then you go to PoE.trade, it's like 16 chaos or something like that,
It's like 2.
Like 6 or 7.
I don't know. It's something ridiculous, right? And you're just like, and then you get an exalted orb and you're like, oh man, 70 chaos. And I don't know what it is now, like 50? Like, it just drops so quickly because, it's just so much saturation. I feel like, it's just, I don't really get excited anymore over, like, getting a unique. Like, before I was like, oh, man, this could be worth, a good amount for me because I don't play as much, right? And then I always find out like I don't even know if I can get an ALK for this, you know. So I think there's a lot of frustration for me, like being a player that doesn't play nearly as much as some of you guys do, just because it's harder to gain like that currency to trade up in a sense.
What is the most expensive unique that's not like from a previous league right now?
Skyforce?
Skyforce.
Yeah, Skyforce.
Oh man, even that's kind of cheap this league. It's like way cheaper than last
15?
league. Yeah, 15. Last league it was like 30 plus.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because people don't have to spend as much on the other uniques, I guess. I don't
And
know.
Rodero offers it.
Rodero, oh, he offers it. Okay.
He offers it.
How much is it?
I don't know, but he offers it.
There has to be inflation happening somewhere to counteract this like cheaper uniques. I'm wondering where that is.
What I think
I'm
it
assuming
is-
it's high-end rares.
High-end rares for sure.
What I was
Be going
thinking
up
too,
in price.
Ziggy, is this league as well. Chaos Orbs have a higher value than last leagues, as do Exalts, because everything is so cheap. People are actually using Chaos Orbs. I feel like Chaos spamming is like meta as hell right now. Before it was like Regal Orb, Alteration Crafting. It's still there, but I feel like Chaos spamming is the wave of the future, and people are finally catching on to it. Because usually economic shifts take a little bit to catch on. And lastly, Chaos, E-Tub re-rolling over his Chaos Shield, chest pieces, Divination cards. Divination cards make Chaos Orbs more useful because you buy a 6-link chest, what's the first thing you're going to do? Quality it, Chaos spam it, So Divination cards also increase the value of the Chaos Orb.
That's smart. I didn't think of it that way.
Alrighty, I shall pull up some questions then. Thank you guys for your answers. They're most interesting. Gallifreyan wants us to define what we consider to be winning in Path of Exile. He says his biggest issue with any pay-to-win arguments is that he's not sure what constitutes winning in a game that is as open as Path of Exile.
Having fun.
Having
winning
fun?
for me.
That's winning.
If I have fun, I'm winning.
Fireworks.
Yeah, fireworks is also winning. That's pay to win right there. Like fireworks are perfect pay to win.
So anything that causes you to have fun would be pay to win. So even cosmetics could be pay to win for you then, Yoji.
Yeah,
Oh,
pay to
cosmetic.
win.
There we go. Yoji claims cosmetics pay to win. Reddit threads.
Banana spectral throw is the biggest pay to win in the game because I can't
Oh
play.
my god, placebo throw.
Yeah, it's placebo throw.
Spark Spiders was kind of pay to win too, actually. When I put that on, my Spark felt stronger. I was like, ooh, I'm having more fun now. So
Reeve.
It
Reeve,
does
demonic
look
Reeve,
much better.
man. You put on demonic
Yeah.
Reeve, you're like, I could see my Reeve? Whoa, I do damage
That is
now.
that is actually pay to win because you can't even see what you are hitting without it.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Make Reeve more visible. Free the Reeve animation.
What,
make
Yoji,
Reeve great again.
What color would you like Reeve to be, Yoji? I mean, they're probably watching right now in the office laughing. What color would you like Reeve to be?
Pink. I mean, green. Green. I said green. Definitely
Wait,
not Capra.
would you say you want people? Would you want Reeve to go green?
Go green.
Oh my
Oh god. Went full circle. Damn it.
This was supposed to be a no meme cast. But I guess in answer to the original question, it's like I see action RPGs as fairly sandbox games. You set your own goals, so your winning state could be, being able to dominate trading and having more stash tabs for you could be a help in winning. Freaking chat, man, memes, so many
Memes are
memes.
the best.
Oh my god.
Can't we go 1 minute without a damn meme?
Green Reeve confirmed, boys.
Trying to have a serious discussion here. Ruined.
Ruined.
Yeah, I mean, that's my issue with the whole pay to win as a phrase in general is just that it does rely too much. You have to define winning, and that comes into play for almost any game. Like people's winning is unless it's a straight up competition between two people and there's a defined win. Then it's obviously pay to win is very hard to define for that reason. So I prefer to think of things in terms of, does this have a significant negative impact on the game or people's experience? Or that's how I prefer to look at it. And for me, my argument with the stash tabs, I made the mistake when I made my original post of even mentioning pay to win. I should have just talked about what I think is the more important topic, which is how this affects new players that come to the game. Is they're not engaging in trading because it's behind a paywall. Even if the paywall is $1.50, who gives a fuck how much it is? You're not going to spend any money on a free-to-play game until you decide that the game is good, and that decision will be swayed by whether you trade or not. That's my issue.
That's exactly why I asked Cooters those questions. This is a perfect example. There's no reason why everyone shouldn't have just one tab. One tab is fine. You can still monetize. There's no reason why. Everyone should have access to everything. And what? No, Pox. How do you feel about third-party programs? We finally got rid of them. But not for everyone.
I don't. That's another thing. Like, I don't think by any means stash tabs are pay to win, but I totally agree with the topic that you're saying, Ziggy, of how people should have that convenience sake there. Because if it's not there, how do you ever know like it's even there? You know what I mean? Like, if they say we have this whole new thing and your friend tells you, hey man, come back to Path of Exile. There's this new trading thing. You're like, yeah, let me go check it out. And you're like, where is it? If you don't own a premium tab, like, where is it?
How do you feel about, I don't know if this would be too cruel, but giving certain things for a limited, like a trial. You get so many stash tabs or so many like premium tabs for like a 30 or 60-day thing, and then they can choose, do you want to like pay, do you want to buy this, or do you want to just get rid of it? Something like that.
I see a single tab as a trial. That's like a limited trial of the feature.
But the thing is, people don't really get the experience with like a premium stash tab, right? Like, people don't really know how it works and stuff unless they've seen a streamer use it or if they've actually used it themselves.
That's another and separate and somewhat related issue with Path of Exile, is that a lot of this stuff is hidden. So even if you it would only be part way of the solution giving every account one trading tab, because a lot of new players are not going to even know that you can even right-click it and make it public, and what that even does, even if they do happen to discover that. Like, what the fuck does public mean?
If it says tab 1, 2, 3, 4 sell, you're like, oh, sell tab. That would be like a perfect example. Trading tab, something that's like,
but some of that stuff, some basic in-game tutorials could be pretty helpful.
There are some tutorials, right, in Twilight. They should kind of extend that to like the game, that when you first open your stash, there would be like an arrow, like, this is a trading tab. Right click here for options or something like this, and have that like go further into the game
as well.
Or make a tutorial videos on their main channel. Yeah, that could be a thing as well.
Or a cutscene or a startup thing explaining the game or something. They definitely.
I was thinking maybe like instead of a trial thing, it'd be nice to have like a try feature, like just so you can play around with it and just see how it works. Before you buy something. It doesn't necessarily have to be a trial thing where it's a limited time, but it's more like, this is what it, I know they have videos and stuff like that, but it'd be kind of nice to be able to actually interact with it in the game just to see what it's like.
I don't know, I'm kind of opposite. Like, the first time I found out, like, why are fusing's always 2 to 1? Oh, because jewelers are 4 jewelers equal a fuse. Like, there's some things that, like, you just got to learn, like, the basics of the game. Like, 2 alterations is a jeweler, 4 jewelers is a fuse. That is never going to change. The whole market revolves around that. Those are one of those things where the player, when they figure that out, it's like one of those, aha moments. I like those. But trials are like too hand-holding. So if they just get a tab, it's just like cut, dry, simple trade. Okay, cool, I get it. I don't know.
I love that most of Path of Exile is like emergent learning. Like, you learn about flask management from the first fight with Hillock without even realizing you're learning about it, right? Like, how to balance the damage you're taking and the money you're spending versus like killing him. Like, I love that a lot of that stuff you just learn through trial and error and through that like natural gameplay. But there is certain things that you need a bit of an instruction manual for.
Yeah, there's a difference between learning like the gameplay and the game mechanics of like the actual like learning how to play the game properly.
I mean, like, hidden elements of the UI and that sort of stuff.
Learning about the UI and learning functions of the game, that should be like explained, because I don't think it's not even fun. Like, oh, I click this now and now I see options, but I understand now why currency conversion rates how currency conversion works. That's interesting and that's cool, but there's no aha moment of, there's a button here, I didn't notice that before.
I mean, every time you shift identify things in your inventory as a streamer, someone asks, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
Like, you can use them multiple times. What?
Did you know back in original closed beta, like super original closed beta, the move only keybind, I would have it on like five things. And everyone was like, dude, what is that movement skill? How do you move so fast? Is it from that? And I'm like, no, that's just move only. It doesn't do anything. They're like, I've never seen it before. How do you do it? And I'm just like, you just hit move only, like click it and put move only, like, and that just goes to show.
Default attack on left click, biggest noob trap ever.
Right now I have Reckoning on my bar, and it's like got a shield and a sword, and every time it goes off, a little spinny thing happens. Like, wow, that's really quick. You're always keeping that off a cooldown. I'm just like,
what a pro.
It's Reckoning, man. Like, all I do is press
nice auto hotkey, bro.
Yeah. It's just funny how that works out.
Build descriptor.
Chicken script Reckoning, come at me. I think we got time for one more question.
Alright.
Like a good one.
Oh yeah, you put so much pressure on me when when you say one more question. Cabby asks if we have any thoughts on the new Star of Rayclast unique. Have you guys saw that?
The amulet, right? That gives you the supposedly data mined lightning warp skill.
Provides a movement skill. It's called shit, man, what's it called? Do I have it open still?
If you find it, you can have a look at it. I don't remember all the mods, but it's also a new base, right? It's a corrupted ruby amulet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It was accidentally released for a little while, actually. The amulet base, and it was dropping, and there's a few of them floating around. Legacy
white ruby
amulets, yeah. Which I mean is like, it's not real. Like at a certain point, resists become pretty redundant, and having main stat is usually more impactful in your build. So it's kind of but
it's more of a collector's thing. I think when that hits standard, the people can sell them for a ton of exalts in standard.
Illusory Warp. Does someone have the link open to post it in chat for people to see? But they held a like an art design thing for it on Garena, and to design the 2D art for the actual amulet itself. And the lore of it's really cool. If you guys read through the post, I highly recommend if you're into the lore of Path of Exile, because pretty sick story. I already read about this amulet in the past. It's the one that transformed Merveil into the fish wife that she is, and the amulet is like really on point with the lore at least, but I mean I feel like there's not too much to say until we know what Illusory Warp does, really. Like Immune to Silence is mostly like a lore thing. Radius of Curses, I mean self-casting curses. LOL.
Mm-hmm. They need to change something about that, definitely.
Though doesn't Curse Radius affect Blasphemy as well?
Yes,
it does.
Yeah, okay, so I guess it would be nice.
Okay, it's actually good.
Yeah. Cold damage, all res, curse radius, and then if Illusory Warp's any good, that could actually be a pretty decent amulet. And I was like, imagine if it's like a D2 Sorceress Teleport or something. Everyone will be using it.
Right,
New
listen,
Illusory Warp.
Lightning Coil's already OP. If Enigma shows its face, I'm done. It's been fun. I'm out. Like, no Enigmas. No Enigmas. I'm done at Enigma. Ooh, I don't miss that skill.
It could be similar to a Merveil skill. Yeah, it could be based on a Merveil skill. That'd be kind of neat. Certainly on point with the lore.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty sick like lore design and everything though of the amulet. I love the art and the flavor text and everything for it. We just have to wait and see what that skill ends up being like. Though I'm very interested to see it. I was excited for new movement skills, especially ones that could be used by bow characters in theory, instead of this 1 30-second cooldown movement skill.
Wonder movement skill.
Remember the rope swing or something we were talking about when we were thinking about it a year ago? Or like, what are they going to introduce? And it was like...
As a bow character?
Yeah, they were like, oh, you get this rope and you throw it and...
Yeah, there was like this huge theory behind it, Ziggy, and then it's just like blink arrow, and you're like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Other games had that before.
Blink arrow is nice, because the clone is pretty helpful in like boss fights and stuff while you're leveling. It's kind of alright, but... We need like a Vault Man that doesn't go over terrain, like just a go fast whirling blades version for bows vaulting around.
Move.
Then I can have my Diablo 3 Marauder set with my Siege Ballista totems and vaulting around. It'll be perfect.
One day Facebreaker will get a movement skill that's not shield charge that gives Fortify. It's like shield charge, you have to name lock to get Fortify. You get shield charge through a whole pack, hit all of them. But if you don't name lock them, you don't get Fortified.
Really?
It's crap. It's crap.
God.
It does not work. So you actually have to name lock the sucker, hope you connect and he doesn't move like the Siege Ballista crap. It's one day. One day we'll get a skill, boys.
Damn.
I didn't know that.
Everyone's like, why are you using Fortify in your 6-link? Because would you want to use this? No. Okay.
Damn, I didn't know that. That's
It's
poor skill.
I put melee splash on. I was like, oh, I'll be bound to hit something in this pack. I nailed every single mob. They all got bumped back, took damage, no fortify. I'm like, good skill. All right. Etep spent like 20x on the skill. Couldn't even kill Dried Lake. Good skill. One day. And so
sounds like a perfect ending point for us today, eh?
So I think, what would you say, Ziggy?
I said, sounds like a perfect ending point for us today, Zeno.
Yeah, well,
that was your
before
cue
we
to
end-
take us away.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take us away. But first, I want to give a thank you to Yoji and Cooters for coming by. Yoji, where can everyone find you at?
If you type ItsYoji into Google, that would probably work. You can also type it into YouTube, that would probably work. And you can type it into Twitch, that would probably
Who
also work.
uses URLs these days, right?
Yeah,
Google.
I mean, just type ItsYoji into your address bar in the browser, and you will probably end up.
You don't even need to
some of my
open
content.
Google these days. You just put in the address bar.
Just type ItsYoji the next field you find on your PC, and you will find me.
Any field, probably not your password field. That probably won't help.
No. I mean, maybe with your password is ItsYoji.
Cooters, where can everyone find you at?
Obviously, Cooters on Twitch. My YouTube is actually Meta Gamers TV, and also www.vapenation.com.
Okay, well, speaking of, that's our closing. If you guys you would like to watch at home, we'll show